Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hotline League. The LCS is back edition. That's right. After a whole lot of drama for a couple of weeks, we finally have some cool stuff to talk about, namely some League of Legends matches, of which there were many this weekend, especially on day one. I feel like that was much longer than the second day. But we're going to get into that in this episode. We've got two amazing guests, but before I get to them, let me introduce my co-host. It's none other than Cubby. Cubby, how's it going?
Great. We have LCS back, and I have work back. So it's been a fun week. I got a lot of tape to go through. I really enjoyed the best of threes for LCS. I know that I am a diehard fan, so for me, I am going to watch no matter what. I would rather watch best of threes than best of ones. So I really enjoyed the changes. I thought that there were some entertaining games. And I had a fun weekend between that and Challengers League.
Well, I'm happy to hear it. Anything else interesting happened this past week for you?
No, not really. I've been trying to get back into running shape. When I was in running shape, I was clocking like 30 plus miles a week at about 9-minute pace. MSI kind of destroyed my schedule, which is an excuse. I'm not making excuses anymore. But yeah, I am running more, and let's see, House of the Dragon was good. I'm glad that's back. I'm excited to watch that, and
I'm
I'm
never gonna
rewatching
watch it.
What?
Dude, I just after Game of Thrones, I have so little, like, especially the ending of it. I've just
No, this saved Game of Thrones for me. I'm not even kidding, because I'm with you. It was terrible, but this show's good, man. Matt Smith is so talented. I'm a big fan of him too as an actor. Glad he's back. But I'm rewatching season 1 with my one roommate, and then watching season 2 with the other. So, yeah.
that's got to be weird.
No, it's actually kind of fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm remembering a few things that I forgot about. So,
Yeah. Well, we do have a scam train going on in the Twitch chat. Shout out to all the scammers. I appreciate everybody doing that. Let's go ahead and introduce our guest for the evening. Now a part of a very interesting and exciting narrative for the LCS summer split. It's none other than Treatz. Treatz, how's it going?
Going well, going well. Unlucky we couldn't get the first win against C9, but honestly, it's kind of just fun to play best of threes, like you said, Cubby, as well. I think best of threes will actually like make you better throughout the split than trying to like cheese wins. So even though we lost, I think there's like way more to take away than if we just got like stomped in a best of one or something. So very happy about that, and happy to be here with the squad after kind of doing remote scrims for a little while. So doing well.
Yeah. And do you want to, how did all this happen really quickly? Give us a 30-second primer on what your job is right now, because I think there are some people that might not know, and how you ended up with it.
I mean, so I'm kind of the strategic / assistant coach right now for Dig. Me and Mabry are kind of doing the coaching, lifting, so to say, doing everything from like day to day to kind of prepping for teams, pick ban, obviously game stuff. And I ended up in this position because it was kind of the best fit for me for this off season. Wasn't any playing options that I thought was better than this, and I really like working with Mabry, and obviously the team is also insane, so it was kind of an easy choice for me.
Yeah. So you came in and you said, "Hey, I'll take the job if we build a roster that doesn't suck," and you forced their hand to build this, is my understanding.
It was definitely all on me, yes.
Okay.
I forced every single roster move.
Well, that is just impressive. Way to commit, to the job. I really appreciate that, especially as a strategic assistant coach. You were able to have that much pull. It's very impressive.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Next up, we have a man who is just biding his time in his current job before he can get his real dream job in League of Legends esports, which is working for Brandon Sanderson's newly announced challenger team. It's Spawn. How's it going, Spawn?
I'm doing good, Travis. I want everyone to know that I'm very happy at Team Liquid, and that Steve and Dodo have been great to me, and that Brandon Sanderson would have to drop a fat stack for me to even consider it.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
I'll have you know, Spawn, in November of this year, he's going to be dropping a very fat stack called Stormlight Archive 5.
Yes, I actually saw that. I'm
Yes.
very excited about the books. I rearranged my bookcase, Travis, because for those that don't know, I used to have my bookcases behind me. So like my desk was kind of turned. So I'll show you. Ready? I'll hijack the stream. So my camera was like this way, and like there's a bookcase there, and there was another bookcase here. And then what I had to do is like Jenna was like, "That's it. This desk is taking up all of our front room, the children's play area. You got to move your desk." So I did it yesterday. So I had to take 2 bookcases worth of books and put them onto one bookcase. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to cull your books. I read a lot of books, by the way, chat. And Sanderson made the cut. Feist made the cut. Robert Jordan made the cut. David Eddings made the cut. But a lot of people did not make the cut, Travis. There are a lot of people that got left out.
Well, I'm glad to hear Brandon did. He definitely should be at the top of the list of authors that make it in. So I appreciate it. So for those that aren't aware, you are not in the States right now.
No, I'm in sunny Melbourne, where it currently was 3 degrees Celsius this morning, or as I learned, 37 F for those that are playing at home. And now it is noon, so I'm starting scrims at about 2 a.m. Australian time. It's now noon Australian time, so my current sleep schedule is fucked, to pardon the French. I get to bed at about 6 p.m. and I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Good fun.
Yeah, I'm hearing we're having some audio issues or maybe some lag, so let me look into what is causing that. But hopefully that gets better. Everybody let me know if my stuff is fine. I'm not sure what's happening.
I'm going to assume it's 150 ping that's between Melbourne and LA. That's what I'm going to assume the lag is.
Yeah, that might be it. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. Some people say that it's fine. Other people say it's kind of cutting in and out. So I'm not sure what's going on. But everybody keep giving me feedback, please, on what issues you're having so that we can continue.
Sounds fine from my end, at least.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So, all right. While I'm troubleshooting this, assuming everybody can hear me right now, I do want to give a big shout out to Kia for sponsoring this episode. We'll be talking to them about them more later on in the episode. But if you did miss them last week, we did announce them as a partner, and so I'm very excited to have them on, and it will sponsor any attempt at promotion of competing brands. But yeah, it's fantastic to have Keon, and we'll be talking about them more later on. But okay, somebody says I had to restart the stream, but it fixed it. Hopefully, folks, if people continue to have issues, please let me know. I'm trying to figure that out. All right, everybody says it's just YouTube, so maybe it's a YouTube issue. Anyway, Cubby, what happened this past week in League of Legends while I look into this?
Well, most people would want to hear us talk about Gen GT1, but that wasn't very interesting. We had some
The pace
interesting...
is a bit too good, I think.
Yeah, we had some interesting LCS performances. I think TL FlyQuest was decently competitive. I mean, one of the things I was a big fan of with best of threes, which I think I'd be interested to hear from you guys. I feel like I have a lot better diagnosis of the teams. Like if it wasn't for you guys having that really strong game 3 against FlyQuest, I feel like people would just kind of look at that series like, oh, haha, it was a mess from game 1, or like each team threw. And then the Dignitas C9, I know that you guys won game 1 and then ended up dropping the series, but I do feel like you had a rather nice performance throughout the 3-game series. And I have a lot of a stronger opinion and diagnosis of teams just based on the fact they played 2 or 3 games versus 1.
Yeah,
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Normally, I like to watch more tape of the opponents as well, as opposed to jumping to conclusions based off one game. What I will say, I mean, I won't talk about our series because that's boring. I'll talk about the Dig C9 series. I thought Dig C9 was actually really interesting because that was one of those games where I felt like Dig played better League of Legends for a longer amount of time than C9, but then just fumbled in very crucial areas of the game, and mainly down to individual decision-making, is what I would say, which is a little bit surprising to me because you would think that their decision-making would still be really top-notch, but maybe their individual hands would let them down. But I didn't really see that all that much. I thought they were playing fairly well mechanically. So, I think Dig, APA already said it in the interview, they're a team that we definitely are looking forward to play. We think they're probably going to end top 4. So, yeah, I think that it's going to be a super entertaining split with those guys coming back in. And also, I'm just really happy that we got so many of the personalities back in the team. Even seeing the handshake meme from Sven and Jan, they've really put behind them, but bring that back. Speaker talking a little bit of trash. Obviously, I love Jensen, worked with Jensen in the past. Think he's a great guy for the scene as well. So overall, really happy they're all back in the ecosystem.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's been really exciting. Cubby did miss the most important news, which came out today, which is Riot has announced we've heard the feedback and we will be updating lolesports.com. And I
Yes.
gotta say, as we at least 50% of every episode is making fun of lolesports.com. I said this when they the same thing when they said that they heard the feedback about international events. It is so fucking funny that we've complained about this shit. It's been an issue for I don't know, a decade, at the very least 5 years, and they go, "We've heard your feedback." I'm like, wow, it only took this long for them to hear it. I mean, I think I brought up lolesports.com sucking more than 18 months ago in an interview with John Needham, and he was like, yeah, I agree, it's not good. So, I mean, the real
You
story,
want to
I'm
hear
sure,
a
is
funny
that...
story about the website?
What's that?
Yes.
So when I was in Riot OS, we obviously had a different website at the start, which was like the OS website, and it was like super dynamic. We could change anything we want. It was like really easy to update, stuff like that. And then like I think Riot came out and they were like, yo, everyone's moving for LoL esports. And we're like, oh, this is going to be fantastic. We're going to get like so much more exposure on the OPL. Like what could possibly go wrong? And let me tell you, Travis, I did not like that website. That's what I will say. Being gentle. As a head of league infrastructure for OS at the time, that website sucked.
Yeah, as much as I meme about this, I am a little curious if it will even be good. So, like, the front page now is just the schedule, which
good.
I think is good in one sense because that's probably the main reason people come to the website. But, like, one of the
I'm
issues
sure Cubby will let you know, but NBA.com doesn't take you to the schedule, takes you to news, and it just means you have to click twice to get to the same website. It's actually a pain in the backside.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and then they do have some news posts up on the right side. I think one of my frustrations with the website previously was that it was really difficult to find any of the news that would come out. So maybe it'll be okay that's on the right side. I know, by the way, I know it's a meme that we're leading with the fucking website changes for lolesports.com, but anybody who's listened to this episode or the show for 6 years should know that this is huge news in the world of Hotline League. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that they're like, we're fixing it. It's just a schedule now. But at the very least, that's probably an upgrade over what we had previously, where you would go and major news posts would not be on the front page under the news section. You'd have to go click on the news section. It was just not. It was not great. So
This is what Ren became, Travis.
No,
This is
exactly.
the skeleton of Ren.
5,000%. 5,000%. That's what this is.
No, I pinged Travis before the episode joking like, hey, we got to be in our A game today. We can't use shitting on the website as like a 90-second fill at any point.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see how much they update it and how much it gets fixed, but it is pretty funny. Okay,
Yeah,
so
good change. Good change.
So yes, we did have games this past week. That was really cool. I think we'll have calls about best of threes if people really enjoyed best of threes. I think day one was a great example of why best of threes can be amazing. I think day two was maybe less of a good example. It was a pretty good example of why best of threes might not feel great. And in my opinion, viewership in particular was looking really, really rough during the second match. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how things go, and I'd love to hear all the callers and get their takes on all this. We also have had more information come out about the format changes in the news for 2025. I know that Mark did his dive episode where he just sort of they do like the internal PR. They don't ever do anything outward facing. So I think we can talk about his conversation there. And then what else? I feel like there was one more thing that I'm forgetting. Twitch chat, Cubby. Anything else happened this past week that I'm forgetting? I feel like there was something, but whatever. We'll figure it out.
NACL happened.
Oh yeah,
It did. Nice 2-0 from you guys. You guys looked much improved.
FlyQuest also didn't win.
That was huge. Yeah. FlyQuest dropped 2-0-2 to Maryville's new team, Dragonsteel, and that team was playing with two different players, 3 patches older 1 week ago, and they 2-0'd the best team in the league, which is pretty crazy. So that was a huge upset. Yeah.
that's what I forgot. Thank you, Green. So to completely change topics to North America's development ecosystem, Genji
the Arnold
Arnold
tweet.
said that he's worried about the talent pipeline in Korea. in League. So I think, normally we talk about the LCS, but sometimes we talk about the LCS development system, talent development system. And so talking about amateur League of Legends in Korea, I think does fit that. And so I think that's something we can take calls on. Nothing from you guys? Or is anybody getting this joke? Is it just not a good joke? The joke is that North America uses Korea as its talent pipeline.
Hey, he
I mean,
called
we
it
don't
out.
do that. We don't
Wolf
do
called
that.
it out.
I
should
think
say.
that's inaccurate, Travis.
APA and Yun would disagree, Travis. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. APA and Yun would disagree.
Hey, Romer played really well.
A lot of other people who would agree.
Yeah, Romer did play well.
Yeah.
He's quite good.
So, okay, we will talk about that. Somebody says, does Hotline League take international calls? Yes, it does. So there's that. And then there's also some fun news that we're going to be talking about probably in about 20 minutes, maybe after our first call. So we will get into all of that on this week's episode. But Cubby, do you want to give the spiel on how everything works here?
Yeah, if you guys want to hop in, command Discord or discord.gg/Travis. Join the Discord, drop your take. If you're cool, you can drop it in subtopics. If not, pleb topics. It doesn't really matter which one you take it in. I try and take the best takes or the ones I feel like are the most interesting, and we'll see if they're actually interesting. So, so far, I've actually have a pretty nice queue, given that we had games, so there are some topics that I feel like some people want to talk about, but we still have room for more as always.
Cool. Yeah, and if you are a sub or a member, so a Twitch sub or a YouTube member, please make sure that you sync your Twitch and YouTube with Discord so that you can get access to the subtopics chat. Moves a little slower. We do try to pull from both of those. So, yeah, please go ahead and make sure you do that so we can get some of these lovely subs and members on tonight's episode. So other than that, yeah, Cubby, do you want to go ahead and just get us into it?
Yep.
All right. We already have some folks in the waiting room, so he's going to be pulling that. While Cubby is doing that, I do want to give a shout out to Acorn Liberated, Reggie Steal Your Girl, Steve the Sloth, Swede gifted a sub to Spawn, Swede gifted a sub to Tactical, Norvek with 50 months. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Scaff for 2 years. Norvik says, moving my support over to your YouTube account. Damn. Decimaya, Rennie the Croc, the Catman, Kanoke, the Noblet, and that Phil Kid. Ooh, the Noblet at 48 months, 4 years. Thank you so much. All right, we got our first caller of the night here. It's Titan. Titan, where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Pomona, California.
Pomona, nearby. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So I was very fortunate enough to go to the LCS opening day, and not seeing all the teams there to celebrate it made it much easier to digest that going to 6 teams is probably healthier for the league. And honestly, I feel like the league needs more teams who are really dedicated to the LCS. And from what I could tell, the people who were there on day 1 and day 2 to a certain extent really enjoyed the changes. And from what I could tell, like generally online too is pretty enjoyable as well.
All right, so you went on day 1. You want to talk a little bit about the FanFest environment? Because I think people might not know that there was a big FanFest thing out in front where everybody had a bunch of booths. Every team was invited to participate. Not every team did. What was your experience there?
So they recommend you get there about 11 because the tailgate was available. They had free coffee. You could take pictures and be up close to the LCS trophy, which was really, really cool. You basically, FlyQuest was there. They had a lot of like free stuff to give out. TL was there. They had this vending machine, claw machine that broke within the first hour, so that was really funny. And you got to take pictures with Blue. Shopify Rebellion was there, which is really fun because they gave out I think it was like acai bowls and like donuts, and that was really, really cool. And just
Damn.
getting to talk to them was like really, really fun.
Yeah, they brought out a donut truck.
Yeah, that was really cool. And they had like their logo on like the donuts too. That was really cool. And Immortals was there, and they always have their boba tea, and so that was really fun to talk to them because they're just really great people. And it almost seems like if you talk to them, they're like it almost feels like just like a family business. So that's really fun. Dignitas had a really cool like I guess it was like cornhole kind of event, but it basically just said Baron Throw, and it was really funny because it just goes all the way back to like the Rock Solid days, and it was just fun just getting to talk to some people. And there was a lot of people who flew out from around the United States. I'm pretty fortunate to be living pretty close to LA to be able to go visit them. But there was just a lot of really cool things, and there was a lot of free stuff given out as well. And just getting to like talk to a lot of like people there made it really, really cool that, you see more people than just online and the toxicity. I think it was just kind of sad not seeing all the teams there because it's kind of like you don't get to see them unless they make finals or some really big event, or you just catch one of their creators out. So it's just one of those moments where like it builds up a lot of hype. And then, I mean, the games and everything else we can talk about later, but overall it's a really, really enjoyable experience for like $20. So
Who were the teams that were not there?
if I remember correctly, it was Cloud9 and 100 Thieves.
And
NRG
NRG was the other
according
one
to
that you didn't
Travis's tweet. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
there we go.
all right, so I'm glad you had a good time. I also felt like the vibes at this tailgate were the best that I had experienced in a very, very long time. I also met a ton of people who came out to tell me that they had, they came up to me and they were very friendly and they said, "Oh, we flew in from Chicago, we flew in from St. Louis, we flew in from the different places." And so I really enjoyed that. There was somebody there that was there for their birthday, and that was really cool. I was disappointed that there were some teams that did not participate. I know that I tweeted the teams that were there and that weren't there, and DK from 100 Thieves told me like, "Oh, hey, we're going to be handing out signs tomorrow. We're not doing anything today because we're not playing." So that is kind of an element, I guess, where like some teams might decide not to participate if they feel like they're not on stage that day. I still kind of wish that they had, especially because I feel like when they're not there, it's noticeable. But the thing that kind of Titan, you're like, it's a good thing that we're downsizing to 6 teams, but I feel like I feel like people would not have 100T, C9, and Energy at the top of their list for the teams that are going to depart next year. So I'm kind of curious why, like, does that feel strange to you knowing that they weren't there, or what do you think of sort of the fact that these teams weren't there versus maybe they're not people's picks to leave?
I think we don't know what teams are going to be there until it happens. And, I mean, if we just look back to last year, no one kind of expected Golden Guardians to say adios, or Evil Geniuses. Well, actually, Evil Geniuses was a little bit more predictable. So I just think it's, when we talk so much about like, oh, the teams how competitive are they versus how much are they really dedicated to the league and how much do they really actually want to be there? Because, you can talk about, not to like pick on anyone, but you can talk about a team that maybe isn't successful competitively. Them still choosing to be a part of the league and actually showing the dedication being there offers a lot of opportunities for players, whether you're coming from NACL or whatever that tier 2 system is going to be like, that will help those players get into those tier 1 orgs that, we talk about those TLs, we talk about those Cloud9s, we talk about those FlyQuest. And just really kind of like, it's a different perspective versus just being like every team's gonna be super competitive. But I think it just shows like a different kind of side of coin, because like I guarantee if it was like, well, with some of those teams, not saying who, like if it was a Valorant team, I'd imagine they'd probably be there immediately. So
The one thing, last thing I want to ask you before I throw it over to the panel to discuss is, you also there's going to be 8 teams, right? I know I've seen people say like we're going down to 6 teams, but I want to make sure that everybody knows that there will be 8 teams. It's just 2 teams are leaving and we're getting 2 different teams.
correct, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Which is pretty exciting because I kind of want to see how a Latin America team does, because if they ever win a game, it's not saying they won't, but like it'd be really, really hype, especially for their fan base as well.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Cubby, I know you pulled the call. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I was curious if C9 like had another obligation that day, because for me, I can somewhat excuse Energy and 100 Thieves not being there given they didn't play, but for C9 it's kind of weird. Like they're usually very good and supportive of these tailgates. So I was wondering if they had something else that you knew about, Travis, or if you heard from them at all.
No, I had not heard of anything.
Okay.
I feel like if they had, whenever I tweeted about it, like a bunch of people were tagging C9 in it, and I feel like they would have said like, "Oh, sorry, catch us over here instead."
Yeah, so it's funny, like I know that a lot of talk has been made of roadshows, and when the Americas changes came in, my friends from back home who I played League with in like season 2, season 3, and then they dropped it. They only play ARAMs. they saw the changes and they're like, oh man, that's too bad. I had a blast at the Chicago finals and I can probably never go to a league event again because every other year, like the LCS finals will be either in LA or like Sao Paulo, Brazil. And hearing you, Travis, talk about so many fans actually come travel for this and want to see all the teams and like have a chance. Like if your favorite team's C9 and you came from Chicago to go to LCS, you're gonna be really bummed if you see 5 teams there and like one doesn't have a booth. Um, I know that it's not a profitable thing for like some of these orgs because you are, I mean, spending a lot to just impact fans and make their day, but it is something where that's what you remember walking out. I mean, that's what this fan's calling in about, the how much fun the tailgate was and what they enjoyed. And I think in terms of support for the league, I mean, when Disguised were in the Tier 2 finals, they brought out a huge booth. Toast was there. They were handing out free T-shirts. Like, they really treated it like it was their event because it was a Tier 1 event for them. And to have teams decide not to participate in opening day, where you are going to have an influx of fans who choose to actually come travel to LCS, I think that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah. I don't know, Spawn or Treatz, if you have much of an opinion on this. I know the community activation is not like a coach situation, but
Yeah.
I mean, I have a pretty big opinion, to be honest, because like I think like some of my favorite basketball players ever have like said things like, you know, I'll give an example, like Allan Iverson always wanted to play, right? Unless he was injured, like he would refuse to be rested. And his whole thing was like there would be people that would pay like, you know, $75 to see him play. And like that
Yes.
could be like everything to them. Is like they pay
Yes.
$75 to come watch me play, and you're telling me I can't play because I need a rest. Like this just isn't acceptable. So they would like hide his jersey and stuff when he had like minor injuries. You know, he'd have a broken finger. He'd be like, "Oh, I'm playing." They would be like, "No, we're already locked in like third seed or whatever." They would try and hide his jersey or something like that. So like I'm of that mindset, and I think there are some people within the LCS. I don't want to talk about the orgs that didn't come, but I want to talk about the good players. They get it. They understand that, yes, while we're competitors, without fans, we can't compete. And, you know, that's why I do shows like this. That's why I'm trying to do my AMA every week in the Discord. That's why I'm trying to always respond to people because, I mean, I love the community. Like, as a shoutcaster to a rioter to now an employee at Team Liquid, I would not have the last 10 years of my career without, like, a huge League of Legends community. And we got to foster it. We got to grow it. And, you know, this is the thing is like, I know the community right now is like torn about the changes and things like that, but you got to get on board. You got to like embrace it. And you got to make sure that you're trying to put your best foot forward at all stages, because if without fans, we don't have jobs. You know,
Yeah.
I'm back to flipping burgers at Mickey D's without fans. So
I believe it's
I
called
don't want to do that,
Macca's.
Travis. Macca's, we call it a lot of things. But yeah, I don't want to do that, Travis. The kitchen at McDonald's gets hot in Australian summer. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it pretty well. I don't think I can say anything better than that. But I mean, I agree. It's like I think the kind of bang for buck value to show up to this type of thing is very high. I don't think it actually costs as much money as people think. It's more about the effort and kind of the what you want to show to the community. And I agree that these types of things are really fun to attend to. And I know that even before I played myself, like going to Counter-Strike tournaments and seeing them play and kind of the fan interaction, like that's what builds kind of the relationship with the players, and that's what kind of makes it fun to watch. So, I mean, I think it's great that all the teams that kind of came did it properly, and hopefully next time it'll be every team that goes to the tailgates.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I saw Hitstreak in the Twitch chat talking about, you know, hey, we're in esports winter. Maybe they just don't have the resources to be able to do something like this. But I agree with your sentiment, Treatz, which is, look, I think Shopify brought out like a donut truck with custom donuts. That is going to be pricey. I think there are things that you could do where you're just like, okay, have a conversation with the team owner. We have a couple, and then we also have a couple cosplayers, and they're wearing jerseys, and you can get a picture of with them that will print out, you know, as like Polaroid or something like that, and get a signature or something. You could do things that I think are more on a budget, and so, and I do worry that if a team does not have the budget to do something that simple, I don't know if that means that they have the budget to exist in the LCS, you know. So I think that is where I do hope this stuff pops up, because I understand the argument of, and I've heard this before from team people being like, hey, we go do this tailgate, we spend thousands of dollars, there's maybe 150 people that we do stuff with, versus putting that investment into something that can reach a lot of our fans, not all the ones that are just at the LCS. But I do think effort shows, and it is meaningful, and the people that did come there for opening day are probably pretty hardcore and doing something for them and having that experience. And then obviously we do things like we talk about it on Hotline League. I think that stuff is important. So yeah, we don't need to spend too much time on the topic because I know we want to talk about the games, but I do really appreciate the call. Titan, I'm glad you had a good time there, and I agree that, you know, it would be nice to see the teams do more stuff in the future.
Who do you support, Titan?
I am a big TL fan. I go so often. Okay. There's two things about the day. One, the bucket meme was so funny in the arena. If you were there, it was so funny, and they actually gave a guy a bucket. Which, to kind of clarify, basically, like, every once in a while, this guy will come out and he has like a bucket that says LCS on it with the logo, and he'll like throw out little like T-shirts, and then little like squishy like plushies of like you know all that like cute fun stuff.
Malachi saplings, Jinx things,
Emo mushrooms, but like everyone, every time he was done, he was like bucket. Everyone just screaming like him to like give up the bucket, and he actually did by the end of day one, so that was really cool. But I actually played rock paper scissors with some of the people at TL, and I actually got a blue little plushie, and then I had this team sign it, and of course APA signed the butt of it, and then he made a joke saying, "I just signed my favorite part, guys," and it was really funny to hear that. But
I'm glad you had an awesome time. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, and also I got to say this not because Treatz was here, but it was really fun meeting all of Dignitas because they're just like super iconic players, and it was really fun to see Spica again because if you ever get just to talk to Spica, he just kind of rambles, but it's just like it's so funny.
He's a funny guy. I heard that all the players said that they had never seen like that many passionate fans when they were taking photos, and I think that that's very cool. I wasn't there personally, but as well was like, what the fuck, there's so many people here.
Yeah.
I didn't know Dig had that many fans.
If you are a fan, it might be a good time to grab tickets if you can, because this might be the last time you can ever watch the LCS.
Yes.
Come on.
Oh,
What?
God.
Is it gonna-
That was a doomer take, no?
How's it a doomer take? They've not said that the LCS is going to continue as a
clip it and
brand
ship
next
it.
year.
They're also like $20, and there's parking that's right next to the arena that people tend to miss. It's like $17 for the whole day, which if you consider like it went to best of threes like on both the first day one
Right.
matches, that was really cool.
Next time you go, you can validate your parking if you park in the garage,
Yeah.
and it's free.
I actually have an electric car, and I realized there was electric charging down there, and I didn't realize till afterwards. So I was like, "Oh gosh."
Yeah,
But-
don't spread that around. Whenever Kia gets me the EV9, I need to be able to charge it down there, and I don't want the spots will get taken very quickly. So
Hashtag God.
No
Yeah.
one ever goes to that floor anyway.
they
Let's
fucking
be
do.
real.
I promise you they do. All right, Titan, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
I just want to say thank you to Travis. It was really cool talking to you there, and it's always such a pleasure to meet you and be on the stream. And then also, just shout out to Treatz and Spawn. Really great, and I really enjoyed watching both your teams on day one. It was really, really hype. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the call. We'll catch you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, Titan.
Adios.
You.
Dude, everybody's shitting on me for saying that it might be the last time you can watch the LCS. Like, they literally are going to. There's a potential that they change it next year. We don't know yet. They have not said they can't commit. They're like, oh yeah, it's still undecided if it's going to be the LCS. And so if you want to have watched the LCS, this might be the last time you can.
Travis is going to grow out the beard and be Ulysses S. Grant to head up the North Conference. I think that's the new plan.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break to announce something. Treatz or Spawn, if you guys need to. Spawn, I know you said you had to take a bathroom break frequently, so maybe this is a good moment for it. But
Yes.
we have a cool little video that I'm going to play here, everybody, on stream. And let's make sure it's all set up. Hopefully the audio is okay. I'm going to turn it down a bit just to make sure it's okay. And we're going to take a quick break for this fun little announcement. And then I think besides that, we should be good for the show tonight.
Hey, we're starting soon. You ready?
Yeah, I actually just need to do something real quick, and then I'll be right on.
Yeah, I think the edit's done. What do you think?
I would just change this one part at the end.
Wow. You're muted, Travis.
All this time I was super hype.
There we go. You were hype. You were
Yes,
bringing
and
it.
I had a great thing, and I just forgot to unmute because I muted for the video. Okay, podcast listeners, I'm so sorry that we did not have audio during that, but I'm excited to announce that NZXT is coming on board. They are sponsoring the next year. We've signed a year-long contract with them to have them become a partner of Hotline League. I'm really excited about this. It's very fun, by the way, to announce two partners back-to-back, especially after the drought. But much like Kia, who we announced last week, we are really excited about the NZXT stuff, and it had taken a bit to get things going. We wanted to make sure that it was a great partner, but I have an NZXT computer that this is streaming off of right now. So that's what I was doing today. We filmed that last week, and then I was setting up stuff, and I officially swapped over to the new machine. And one of the things that I am super excited about with this partner, Spawn, close your ears, is that with my previous partner, a lot of people really liked being able to get computers and PCs from them. But one thing that you can do with NZXT, because I'd heard a lot of the feedback I heard over the last 5 years was like, hey, I like building my own machines, or I like upgrading my own PCs. I'm that type of builder. And the cool thing is that with NZXT, that's something that they support. So if you go over to nzxt.com, it'd be super cool if you did, so that they saw that a bunch of people all came in at once. Maybe Numi can link it in. You'll see that there's gaming PCs up at the top, but and you can click over on player 1, player 2, player 3. Those are their pre-built ones. They've got custom gaming PCs as well, but they also have components as well. So if you want to support Hotline League by maybe picking up a new case, by picking up some new cool fans or CPU coolers, that would be super swell. It's fantastic to have them do this stuff. And by the way, that machine is beautiful that they sent me. And if you might have seen the TGI logo on it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's kind of neat about that, let me see if I can, it's going to replay here whenever I click this, I think. Oh no, maybe I can get it. I'm going to see if I can seek over to it. But one of the cool things about it, I can't pull it up. It'll see it on Twitter. And you can go rewind on this video, is that, yeah, they have this little LED on the cooler that you can program to have anything. And so I just threw the TGI logo up on it for the purposes of our announcement video. So either way, also the fact that they came on for a full year, it is very rare these days to have a partner commit to a 12-month long partnership. I think more and more partners are going for shorter term stuff, which is great. We love partners who are with us, and we always hope to renew them. But I do really appreciate that up until through June of next year, at the very least, and hopefully for longer, if all of you are showing them love and support, we'll have NCXT as a partner for Hotline League. So super happy to have them on. They joined Kia as our announcement last week, and yeah, it's great to have some partners. I already love the machine, so we'll have the link in the description. We'll have a custom page. We're working on building a custom page with them soon, so you'll have something that's a little bit more dedicated. But yeah, let's get into our next callers.
Yeah, sounds
Congrats,
good.
Travis.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good work,
Just
Thank
want to say congrats.
I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Obviously,
Twitter's
that
dead.
means that now everyone can refund their Twitch subs because Travis has got it made again, guys. Don't worry about it.
I'm not
Count
sure about
every
that.
penny.
I'm not sure about that. I will say I'm sorry that you and I have
50-50. Me and Spawn will take the subs, guys. Don't worry.
We'll take it.
I will say it is funny that I am now on the opposite sponsorship side from Team Liquid in two major ways. So I appreciate
You
that.
used to be bros, Travis.
I know.
The next Magic the Gathering.
Well,
at
hey,
Team Liquid,
listen.
I'm walking around, knocking over decks, pouring
Yeah.
coffees on boards.
I will say that for at least one of those, it was not my decision to end, but I am happy with my new partner because I think that they're a better fit for where I'm at these days, and also maybe for what my audience is right now. So
We're happy for you. There's always room for more sponsors within the esports.
true. And so, yeah, and I do appreciate NZXT coming on board for that. So Yeah, let's get into our next call. It looks like the next caller is here already. Good job, Cubby, crushing it. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name's Allan. I am calling from Chicago.
Allan from Chicago. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, so my take is that I think my predictions for this split is going to be that TL is going to win Summer, and I think that the teams we're going to send to Worlds are going to be TL, C9, and Dig. And I actually wrote kind of like a long tweet kind of detailing some of just my thoughts on the teams and the first weekend after I watched the IMT Shopify series earlier today. So I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, if you can speed run it, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'll speed run it. Yeah. So reason for TL, Stefan said it himself. If a team does a mental boom after a major international event, they have a really good shot of becoming even better than they were before. And from what I've seen, and obviously Spawn might have some insider information that we don't know about, but from what I could see, TL looked incredible. They looked really good. I think that their coming back was a little bit sluggish from just kind of, getting back into form from MSI. I think FlyQuest did not look as good as I think a lot of the expectation was. Quad, and that could be just quad trying to fit into the team and getting acclimated to everything, right? So that is understandable. I expect they're going to do a little bit better, but I think C9 looked good. If they play around Thanatos and kind of figure that out, they can win a lot of games because Zerker and Vulcan looked really good this weekend as well. Dig, I think all those guys have kind of a chip on their shoulder. They got something to prove. They're ready to rock and fight and be, they're ready to prove themselves that they deserve to be here. They're not washed kind of deal. Then NRG still looks as though they have communication issues, and they just did not look, like a team. They look kind of dead in their series. 100T looked great. They looked really, really solid. And again, I think they're just going to keep improving as the split goes on, as they kind of find their rhythm again. And they were killer last split. I think they're going to be the same in the regular season, probably coming fourth. And then who am I missing? INT surprised me. Mm-hmm. They looked really solid. Shopify, I want to root for Shopify. I like the guys. I like the whole DSG kind of coming back together storyline. But they got some things to work out on that side of things. But yeah, less really to say about those teams there. But who did I miss anybody? I feel like I missed somebody.
Maybe FlyQuest, but you said they lost.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think the FlyQuest, the game they took off TL was kind of Skarner-diff. I truthfully, because I think Skarner kind of just had an insane weekend, and I think that will very likely not happen again unless some kind of some very serious development happens in the counter matchups. But
all right, I gotta say,
just had an insane.
I'm gonna cut you off here because I can see Treatz fuming over there in the corner. He's fucking pissed and he's ready to take you down. So Treatz, talk to me about how this guy's completely wrong and that Dignitas is here to stop Team Liquid and their hype train.
I mean, the problem is I want to say that, but then I look at our scrims and I don't know. I can't speak. I can't say anything. So I'm stun locked.
I mean, for what it's worth, again, I mean, I think that the guys on Dig are a team that, they have so much stage experience that they're just used to being in that environment because it's such a different environment from scrims to stage, and that so that they can kind of show up. And one thing that I heard from, I think it was on the broadcast, was that these guys to be coming in to being a team so late in the off season, that they just kind of need to find their identity, and that their individual play is going to really carry them for these first few weeks, and eventually they'll kind of get it together and everybody will kind of figure their stuff out. But and I think that's going to be, I definitely see that being the case. But but I think that they are definitely a much better stage team, so I put faith in that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's kind of how I see it as well. I think that obviously with kind of all the pieces coming together very late into the off season, and there's also a lot of strong personalities on the team. I think, especially in scrims, in the early season scrims, I think just kind of have to let the int out. I think the stage games actually show that we can be human if we want to. So I think that gives a lot of confidence as well. And like you said as well, like going, I think week 3 and onwards, also there will be a break right after the week 3. So I think more time for us will kind of benefit us as well. So scaling for playoffs already after one series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with the week 3 analysis. Like the thing is like I kind of said it last split as well. I think I was on the show like fairly early. Whoever takes that break the most serious / makes the most progress will probably win the split. Because what happens is you have 3 weeks and then you identify all your problems and why you suck, and then you have like 3 weeks to go away and scrim and fix all of them, and then you don't really have any patch changes after that to like actually get on top of anything. So I think that we took the break really seriously, obviously grinded through it. It really helped us. And then by playoffs, we were really comfortable with our game plan and our meta read. So I think Treatz has kind of hit it on the head there. I do think that people are sleeping on one team, and it's a team that no one expects people to sleep on, but Immortals is actually good, guys. Like, I'm telling you that game against, like, people are saying that, like, it's just Shopify, but like I'm telling you, Immortals is a genuinely good team. I think that they upgraded their coaching infrastructure over the offseason, in my opinion. And I think that they're genuinely going to look better in best of threes because they threw a lot of BO1s in the most crazy ways that you should never be able to throw games. Like, it looked like genuinely they like just paused and sub players sometimes with the amount of mistakes they made. So I think like Immortals genuinely could be a top 4 contender. I don't know about the hype about us. First place, everyone's just locking us in, even though we finished 4th in regular season, barely scraped our way through playoffs.
Spawn
had to go through the lower brackets, guys.
Last week on this show, Steve ended by saying, "We're not going to drop a single match this whole split." So if you're trying to figure out where the hype is coming from, maybe you should talk
you guys
to...
are locked first, actually. We'll get second. You guys can just take first. It's okay. No worries. It's basically locked in already. So like Steve said it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been a Team Liquid fan for like 10 years since the StarCraft 2 days. So like I'm writing that as in addition to all the evidence that kind of is leading me in this direction. I have some fan bias there. And one of my friends, actually, Lorelo, I played Magic with him back when he was on, I think it was CLG Black or something like that, like way back in the day when he was like 12 or something. So I know Lorelo for a long time, and that's just another reason I'm a big fan of Team Liquid. So
Lorelo, great guy.
He's the GOAT.
Yeah, I mean, I think that your diagnosis, like for me, I think a lot of fans saw the FlyQuest series against TL and saw like, oh, FlyQuest is still sloppier. FlyQuest got worse. I think FlyQuest actually looked okay. I think that there was just a weird game where like both Whippo and Impact just had really awkward top lane games. Like somehow I think Impact actually might have had a higher impact on Zach than Whippo's Rumble, even if the scoreline didn't say it.
It did, yeah.
And both of them like had really rough games. So I think that Whippo had kind of a rough series between that and the set game. And after Quad died to APA in like the most embarrassing way for First Blood level 5, I actually thought Quad was like okay / brought it back a little bit. And I still think that Quad for me is a better fit for that team and how Inspired wants to play the game. So I think that my diagnosis right now is I have TL and FlyQuest for me still being the 2 teams that I would look to beat. I think that the C9 game over Dig, I like what Spawn said earlier about like Dig winning the games for the majority of the time in the series, but C9 won the series. I still have concerns with how C9 are playing out their sides. I see like a little bit of desync with Thanatos, which I'm not surprised about. I think the swap for Thanatos, like, it's an individual upgrade, but I didn't think that was what's going to fix C9's issues. Reaper, for me, makes sense given that he can help translate with the team, but that team's still going to have to figure out how to do that on stage. And I still see a couple waves where, like, when JoJo got caught top, that was awkward, and, like, C9 way overplayed that, and Thanatos, like, caught a random mid-wave really high at some point when he should have been bot. Then Berserker could have caught the wave and, like, rotated up to kind of help prevent that or have a better setup. So I still think that, like, it was a weird Baron deploy, and then mid-game, like, game 1 was pretty bad. And I still think that Dig actually had ways to win the latter games. It's just, like, Licorice had 2 fights where he just wasn't involved, given like his approach and where he TP'd and how the fight was taken. So, I think that like Dig, even like if with what Treatz is saying, like how their scrims are going, and I've heard that as well. I also have heard that it's gotten a little bit better, and teams are actually starting to get higher on Dig behind the scenes, which is good. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're competitive. It's just, can they crack the perceived 3 team in C9? And it's funny that a lot of the hate throughout history in the LCS has kind of been on Dig and Immortals, and frankly, I think that those 2 teams actually have a decent shot to crack C9 here and make top 3, more so than NRG, who really just had a really poor performance this week.
All right, I'm just gonna say Team Liquid's definitely not winning, and I think the reason why, because all you guys are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. No, it makes sense because, or the reason I think it doesn't make sense, the reason why I think Team Liquid won't win is because when you're saying Team Liquid is going to win, you're taking Team Liquid against the entire field of the other 7 teams. And what I think is the case is that there's a bunch of these teams that have gotten way better and way more competitive over the course of this. And like, yes, I agree that maybe like the Thanatos stuff is not where he's going to be yet, and I think C9 or FlyQuest is also still figuring out their stuff, but like this is a very long split with this giant break which you guys referenced already, and I think that there's a huge chance for one of these other teams or multiple of these other teams to become pretty strong rivals in a way that I don't think anyone feels will be the case maybe after week 1. So
I think I kind of agree with Travis. My take is that I think I read the fan sentiment correctly, which is like TL got better in the season 1, like first split, and then went to MSI and got better again, and now we're going to have another opportunity to go international, which hopefully will level us up again, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what everyone's saying. And then they're saying in best of 3s, it's harder to upset a good team consistently. And, I was listening to Federer's speech the other day about, even though he won 80% of his singles matches, he only ever won 54% of his points. I think that's what people are saying about TL, Travis, is like, even across big series, we should be able to find that edge. But I do think it is a competitive season. And normally what happens in an isolated region like NA, or even historically like OS, is that a team goes internationally, they boot camp, they get a lot better, they bring all those tactics back to NA, and then everyone kind of has a melting pot, and then the meta figures itself out. And the reason that it's very difficult to tell who's going to win right now is the teams that went to Korea are playing a way different meta to the FlyQuest and TL that went to MSI, who were playing a way different meta to the teams that actually just stayed in North America and scrimmed in North America, which I believe was Immortals and NRG. So a meta will win in the end. Is it going to be the Sejuani Maokai jungles? Is it going to be Nidalee and all these other things? Is it going to be like weird Karthus brand stuff? Is it just going to go back to Viego Vi, simple execution, typical North American strategy? So like, I think like where that lands will actually determine pretty quickly like who is the favorite to win.
Yeah.
I think also to add on top of that, like I think that when you bring in Koreans to E or NA, especially when it's like an isolated role, I think they can start off pretty strong, but I feel like it always ends in the same way eventually, which is like they become a bit isolated from the team and kind of struggle. So I feel like those teams, they kind of got like an instant boost, so to say, with the strong Koreans. I think that in theory they should work better now than they do in playoffs. At least that's my personal take. And I think that like as for TL, I think you guys have kind of a higher starting point than a lot of the teams. Like take us for example. I think like with MSI and kind of keeping the same roster, you're just starting at like a higher level, but I think it just depends on how fast the other teams kind of catch up, both in terms of meta read and just like in general how well you mesh as a team.
To back Treatz's point, I do know a few teams behind the scenes actually scout out imports solo queue games, and like the more solo queue they have, the more concerned they are when they come to NA, because then if you're used to playing that much, you're just playing that much in a worse environment. And we have seen that over time. Like it's something I'm looking out for in the LAC, because SK, their bot lane is so good right now. And I'm
I think it's different for bot lane though than like a solo lane, at least for me personally.
Why so? With 2v2s or what?
Yeah, I think just 2v2s and generally like bot lane just communicates more between themselves. I think when it's like, for example, if FlyQuest, right, like with mid and jungle, I think it's just like the tension it creates, like the longer the season goes, the more the tension will rise, I think. And if it's a bot lane thing, then the bot lane can fix it themselves. I think even for bot lane, though, it can eventually kind of turn into the bot lane versus the topside kind of situation.
Yeah, because we have seen like Prince and Berserker, I'd say, fall off over the time they've been here of late as like two notable ones of late. So that will be something to look out for because Berserker is definitely coming off of a down split. I don't want to write him off because he was so good in that first year. So I'm hoping that he really performs in the next this upcoming split.
Well, I think we will have to find out how things go, but I do, I was kind of setting myself up to be the person who disagrees here, but I think APA's quote from the interview that I put out with him today is a fair one, which is like, we should be considered favorites in every match that we go into. And I think that for right now, Team Liquid is the team to take down. But I do think people who are no offense, who are predicting Team Liquid to be the team, super confidently to win, in what I feel like is going to be a very competitive split. I think 6 of the 8, I would say, are perhaps contenders, especially given what our coaches have said here. I think it'll be a much tougher road and maybe not as easy for Team Liquid as perhaps some people feel. So either way, thank you so much, caller. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say real quickly that is I do agree. I think one of my other takes I was considering to throw in out here, I'm not gonna get too into it, but I was gonna say I think that NRG winning a couple of years ago or a couple of splits ago was one of the best things to happen to the league, just because it shows that gods can bleed and C9 can bleed, and that just kind of boosted everybody's we can actually do this kind of thing, right, and actually win. So that was but yeah, I agree that it's hyper competitive. And it should be a very exciting split. So shout outs to Spawn, Treatz, Cubby, and Travis. Thank you guys for having me. Love the show as always. Tune in every week. Shout out to my wife. Shout out to my family. Hope everyone had a happy Father's Day. And yeah, that's it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Good Father's Day shout out.
By the way, I do want to say really quickly, I saw some folks asking if there's a code or anything for NZXT. I should have mentioned it earlier, but they did create Travis5, which is a promo code you can use site-wide. It'll save you 5%. So it's pretty, and hopefully the code works well, and please let me know if you have any issues with it, folks. You can always find me on Discord or Twitter or whatever, but I know we had a ton of issues in the past with codes with this type of thing. But I think that this will not have the problems that the previous ones did. So again, Travis5, that's 5% on all the NZXT stuff site-wide. All right. I think we are ready to grab our next caller. Off goes Cubby. Thank you to, over on YouTube, I'm sorry, I've missed some memberships. Bob and George, thanks for the membership. Stinko Video, thank you for the membership. John, thank you for the 10 gifted. Very, very appreciate those 10 gifted. That's super generous of you. I do see some more Twitch subs. The Noblet, that Phil Kid, Shaunatonin gifted a sub to Treatz, Meek Rhino, Bamboozle, Fishy, Cruellas for 50 months. Thank you so much, Cruellas. We'll get to more of those shoutouts in a second, but first, our next caller is here. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yo, this is Purpose. I'm calling from St. Louis.
St. Louis. Ah, wait, did we meet this past weekend?
Yes, we met at the welcome, like the fan fest thing on Saturday.
Yes. Well, it was super great to meet you. You were the person that was out for your birthday, right?
Yes, yeah.
Awesome.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it was a really awesome birthday present to go out and see LCS. Had a great time.
What was your take?
So my take is directed at Treatz, but I'd like all your guys' input. So I guess first, like, just how is it working with so many of the veteran players on the same team? And are you running into any issues with like conflicting opinions on how to best play out the games? And really, it's because after the series this weekend, honestly, my biggest worry, and Spawn touched on this a little bit, was like, did the players still have it after like a lot of them weren't even playing last split? And clearly they do. Like Jensen was kind of cracked. I don't know why FlyQuest let him go, to be honest. Like I think his way is probably like the best in the LCS, and even Licorice Zen, like they were all playing great. But the team itself seemed to be struggling like mid to late game with like macro and some of the decision making, which is a little surprising. So I was wondering, could you like speak to just how that's going overall in practice and scrims and all that, and just like how you guys are approaching this for the rest of the season?
I mean, the guys still definitely have it. I think, like you said as well, it kind of showed in this series. Like everyone kind of had their moment to shine. So I was really proud, like individually, of what they brought. Obviously, we're still a very new team, so the kind of mid-game kind of messed ups and not on the same page at all times. I think there were very clear mistakes that we did, which we're looking to kind of resolve. As to your first question, there's definitely like kind of a different perspective of how to play the game, both from me and the coaching staff, and kind of within the players as well. But it's our job as coaches to kind of direct everyone into a single direction, right? I think that's a lot what coaching is about. It's not always kind of saying how to play the game. It's also just like figuring out this is what we're doing for the next time if this happens. And sometimes that suggestion comes from me, sometimes it comes from a player. I think it's important to kind of drop the personal ego and just kind of figure out what's best for everyone. So I think that's something very different from playing, where I would kind of be the one who would say that we're doing XYZ, but now it's more like I'm kind of the babysitter, I guess you could call it, where I'm just trying to make sure that everyone is happy and everyone is content with the direction we're going. So I think for me, it's been very exciting to kind of work with everyone, because I've also gained a lot of perspectives since I'm new to coaching. So it's been very fun and very challenging, but I think kind of the longer it goes, the more we'll be on the same page and the more kind of reps we have in the tank and kind of have played out different situations. So very fun and exciting, and in general, I would say for the first kind of official games compared to scrims, also a success.
But before Spawn hops in, Treatz, how is your experience as a player and kind of being fresh off that, like, helped you or given you perspective now as you hop into this seat?
I think it's definitely helped me from kind of the gameplay aspect. I think a lot of coaches haven't played very recently.
Yeah.
And they have a not like outdated perspective on League, but very like, I guess they kind of mold to the players, but I like to see myself as going kind of against the players, if that makes sense. So I think I can kind of, I guess, upgrade some of the views that some players have on the team and kind of help them shape new ones, so to say, instead of just being a very, I don't know how to put it, just kind of conforming to their ideas, so to say. So I think that's kind of where my player-coach relationship kind of shines.
Would you say that any of the players that you're working with are vegan?
I mean, Jensen's definitely not vegan in scrims. I'll tell you that much for free. My man likes to go in, you know. I respect it. No, but honestly, all the guys are really fun in their own way. We have a lot of kind of jokesters on the team, so even sometimes when we're doing well or doing poor in scrims, the mood can be uplifted by one single comment by anyone, to be honest.
I actually really quickly, what is going on in scrims? Because everybody keeps talking about dig scrims. For everyone, I just want you to all to know that whenever Treatz agreed to come on, he said he'd be on as long as I didn't ask him about scrims. I'm now asking him about scrims. So like, what is this environment? Is it just the teams or the players are figuring out how to play again? Because obviously it looked much more competitive on stage this weekend, despite all the scrim rumors and stuff. So what is going on there?
I mean, I think, to be honest, we just started very late, and every team has kind of an int phase. Our int phase just kind of happened before LCS started. Usually you kind of get the int phase out a few weeks earlier, preferably. But we definitely had a few negative scrim results in a row, so to say. But it's getting better. It's getting better.
All right, we have to let Spawn speak because APA is in the chat making fun of him. So Spawn, what do you think of all this?
I can't even remember the original take because
what
I'm
is
just
it?
sitting here listening to Treatz's soothing voice.
Thank you.
The take was mostly to Treatz. The question was like, what is it like working with veteran players? But I think kind of broadening out to Dignitas as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember what I was going to say. So pretty much the difficulty as a coach, everyone thinks that coaching the star player is hard, but it's like really not, because most of the time you just say to the star player, do whatever the fuck you want to do, and then everyone's going to follow you. It's actually getting the role players to buy into the fact that what they're doing in the game is contributing to the win, because like everyone in professional league just wants to win, right? So like if you show how the little things in the game actually leads to like the big things happening, then you can really get good alignment within a team. And I think that Treatz, being an ex-pro player, would understand this better than probably a lot of coaches that come from not that background, because like so much of like the fanfare around League of Legends is like, oh, this guy 1v5'd or this guy solo lost the game for his team. But then like when you actually pull the game apart, like very rarely is that actually the case. And it's very hyperbolic to look at the game that way. So what I would say that we try and do, and that I'm sure that Treatz and Dig are trying to do, is when you got all these veterans that at one point were the star player and you're adjusting these roles, you have to make it feel like they're still having a huge impact on the game. And League of Legends is a great game because there's only 5 players, so it's very easy to have a huge impact. You know, when you're playing like football or Australian rules football, when there's like 18 or 12 people on a pitch, then it becomes quite hard to like define these roles. But I think that when it's only 5 players, really easy to do it. And I'm sure that once they start buying into that system that, you know, Treatz is setting up, because a lot of it does come from the strategic coach. I'm just going to like call that out, even though I'm head coach. You know, a lot of our systems are reign over systems. Then, you know, it's really fun to be able to see the players actually buy into that. And, you know, players redefine their careers because, you know, I'll take a guy like Impact who's gone from being a weak side Titan to being a heavy carry top laner. You know, people always think about Impact being like a tank player, but when we were beating IG at MSI, he's playing things like Nico, things like Cannon, things like Nah. To, you know, now back to a little bit more of a leader and a role player. Guys like Core from being range support players to engage support players. These kind of things, like redefining players, getting them to like actually take that next step in their journey is really, really fun as a coach. So I would say that, you know, I'm sure the guys at Dignitas, they'll have some teething issues because there's growing pains with all this stuff. And from my perspective, their scrims, Travis, are because they're actually trying to win scrims. There are some teams that you play scrims against, you get a lead, and then they just try and not lose the scrim. And then the scrim just becomes a monotonous, boring, like actual throw the game away because that's never how a stage is going to go. Dig actually try and win scrims, which means that a lot of the scrims, like, look like infests, as Treatz has said, but I think that like that's actually a good place to start. We're the same. We fall behind in scrims. Like I think we even did it on stage, right? We fell behind on stage and then we just lose the game in like 24 minutes because like we're actually trying to make proactive plays to come back in the game.
Yeah.
When those plays don't work, you just look like fucking morons. So yeah, I think that that's kind of my take on the whole Dig situation. They'll figure it out.
Does that make a team like Dig good to scrim against, or if they're just inting a ton, is it a bad? I don't know if you guys have scrimmed yet, but. Or is that
we scrimmed? I'll say Dig are good scrim partners, especially I think that Licorice is like just crazy underrated as far as laning goes, and there's like very few people that lane well versus Impact. So I think that we value that part of the practice. And then obviously, as a caller called out, like if you want to play against majors, you know, if we think like Quay or you know Victor, Oriana, Azir is strong, like who would you rather play against in Jensen? You know, so figure out those things. We think they're pretty good. As I said, I think that our mid game is better at the moment, but that's to be expected. They're 2 weeks old and we're 7 months old, so. You know, I don't think that's a surprise to anyone.
So it sounds like you really respect their players, but I haven't heard you say anything about their coaching staff. So I guess maybe that's a place.
I literally said at the start of it that Treatz is going to run the whole system.
Fair enough. Okay.
I mean, you can't really say that about coaches though. Like everyone does such different things in different teams too. Like I have no clue what Spawn does. I have no clue what any coach does, and I'm literally now a coach of a team. So it's like. I don't know how people like on social media actually know what coaches are doing. I find that kind of crazy. Everyone has different jobs, and it's my job to do the best that I can for Dig. Like maybe that changes in 2 months, maybe that changes in 1 week. Like I don't know. I'm here to get everyone on the same page, and that's kind of all.
Well, we have APA in the Twitch chat, or he was earlier, so maybe he can tell us what Spawn does. That would be great.
He's like, yeah, I don't know either.
I yell at APA a lot, Travis. That's what I'll tell you I do.
Is that true? I'm so sad he got rid of the mustache. Oh yeah, actually, he did not know because there's a delay, right? Because of the delay, he said, "What does Spawn do? Yell at me." So at the same time, you guys were saying that. That's amazing.
No, that's a couple's goal right there. You each give the same answer. That's a good sign.
So I interviewed him and I forgot to ask him this during the interview, but afterwards I asked him about it and he said he got rid of the mustache because he got bullied by his teammates into getting rid of it. How could you let this happen, Spawn?
I'm in Australia. The last time APA grew a mustache was actually Korea Worlds, and he said to me, "You need to get a mustache." And I didn't even bring a razor, Travis. I went to 7-Eleven, got a shitty like 3-blade razor, and my beard was huge, and I like hard shaved my beard down to a mo.
That sounds rough.
So I'm a bro for Ian. I would bring the mo back if you want Ian.
I'm so sad he got rid of it. It's actually so good in the hype video that they did. I thought it was really good, and I'm a mustache hater, so I have all my friends Hunter, Nick, others are all growing these disgusting mustaches. but on
Goatee.
APA,
If you grow a goatee, I'm bringing in Roma. I draw the line there. That's it.
yeah.
I have a question to you though, Spawn, because I was doing remote coaching right for the first like week or so. Do you find that it's way more challenging to do remote than in person? Because for me, it was absolutely disgusting. I'm not gonna lie.
Sucks ass.
The remote coaching is terrible. Like, let's just call it what it is. If I didn't have visa issues and like my son was recently diagnosed with ADHD, that's why I'm in Australia. For those that don't know, I think that genuinely remote coaching, you get like 20% of the impact that you do as in-person coaching.
Sometimes
And for
negative,
me,
I feel like even.
yeah, for sure. And for me, it's even worse because a lot of my players speak Korean natively, right? And when you're there, it's so much easier to be like, yo, Dodo, translate for me on the fly,
Yeah.
right? But when I'm just getting parts of Korean flying through my headset, it's not great. I agree. And when you're doing it 2 a.m. and let me
Yeah,
tell you,
I did the
my
same,
mood is
yeah.
not good at the same at the best of times. At 2 a.m. it is even worse. So yeah, if they int game 1, I'm just very grumpy the rest of the day.
Do we
Yeah, that's fair.
have any idea, or do you have any idea when you'll be able to join up?
Oh yeah, it's announced. I think back on the 24th, next
Okay.
Monday, 9 a.m. at LA time.
Cool.
Congrats.
Where was this announced?
you.
On Twitter? I just missed it.
I think I announced it in the Team Liquid Discord in an AMA.
Oh,
Travis, if
yeah,
you
so
wanted to
I've-
pop by
geez.
after our matches. I do that once a week.
Can't believe I missed. I guess I must have just been missing that Team
You
Liquid
call yourself
AMA
a journalist.
mentioned. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people who have a lot of opinions about that. We won't get into that. All right, caller. Thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate the conversation that you sparked. What would you like to say, if you'd like to add anything here before I give you the shout out?
Yeah, no, that was a really good discussion. I guess real quick, for Treatz, just has anyone stepped up to be kind of the shot caller in game, or do you guys kind of like split that responsibility between all the members?
I think it's very split right now. I think it also changes a lot kind of as you grow as a team. We're still in kind of the new phase, to be honest, even if we've scrimmed for a couple of weeks. So right now it's kind of everyone, but it could change.
Okay, awesome.
Hey.
All right.
Oh yeah. What would you like to shout out?
Sure, a couple shout outs. So first, I'm gonna shout out Kia, and I have a little story for this one. So my girlfriend and I were like thinking about getting a car at the start of this year, and we definitely wanted like a plug-in hybrid. So we were gonna go with a Prius because that's kind of like what everyone knows, right? And then we saw the Mark Z with Fudge Cameo ad for the Spring Split LCS with the Kia EV9, and then I jokingly was like, we should get a Kia EV9. But then we looked at the car, and obviously it's a little bit out of our price bracket, but because of that, we actually looked into Kias, and turns out they actually make a really sick plug-in hybrid called the Niro. And we test drove it, and turns out it's actually better for our use case than the Prius would have been. There's like way more headroom in the back, and we drive around with the friends a bunch, so that was very like important for us. And it comes with like heated seats and dual climate zones and everything. So we ended up getting it, and it's been great. The electric range is enough to where we've actually only filled up gas once since we got the car back in March, and I think we're at like 3K on the odometer, so like you can do the math for the miles per gallon there. But honestly, it just felt like really good to support an LCS sponsor, especially since Kia supports like a lot of the teams, the LCS itself, and now Travis. So shout out to them for being an awesome sponsor. And then second, I want to shout out my girlfriend who got us like last minute flights to LA this weekend, so I could see the opening LCS matches for my birthday, which was on Saturday. And then she also made these like really awesome posters for all of the matches, and one of which actually got shout out by the LCS official Twitter post and tweeted out by Captain Flowers, which is really awesome. So thank you for
Nice.
that, and I love you for everything. So yeah.
Thank you. And Cubby, did I tell you to pull this caller?
No, it was a good take.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I just want to
Yeah.
be clear that everybody who's like paid caller, that was, dude, people forget this is what the brands get when they sponsor Hotline League. Our callers are amazing. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I will definitely be sharing that with the Kia brand team. And also, yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. It was a great gift that she gave you to be able to come out to the LCS. So I hope we'll
awesome.
catch you at another LCS event in the future.
Yeah, and I'll tweet out the car at you, so there's proof that we did buy this car. Okay.
Fantastic. Yes.
Oh my god.
I appreciate that. You'll help me with my deliverables.
Plus 1 year.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good one.
See you guys.
Thank you. Flexing on everyone. Has a girlfriend, has a car, has friends to sit in his car.
That's true.
Holy! I've
got
never felt
a free trip to LA for LCS.
My man, I'm just saying, living the life. It is not bad to be purpose.
You know what? Maybe you're right. I like that color. Now I'm starting to resent him a bit because I don't have a girlfriend, as Captain Flowers I think has pointed out, and I do have a car, and I do get to drive the EV9 soon, so that'll be nice. But yeah. Speaking of,
maybe Team Liquid can recruit you for their next Riz video they do.
True. Yeah, they need to help
See
me
if Travis
out.
has Riz.
Yeah, see if Travis has. I think I've got some Riz. All right. Manco1, thank you for the raid. I do want to shout you out for the raid. That's very cool of you. We had 269 people come in. Very nice. And then also, because I'm never going to get a better segue than that caller, we're going to talk about Kia right now. So shout out to Kia for sponsoring the show. This is an obligatory Spawn pee break because he has to pee a million times during the show. Shout out to Kia for sponsoring Hotline League. Really appreciate them. I don't know if I can do a better promotion than the caller just did, but I do really want to give you all a chance to learn a little bit about their EV9. So you can go check them out. They have actually, I think we can go ahead and put that link. I have a link that I'm going to go throw into the Twitch chat here in a second for it. But while I pull that up, go check out their EV9. It's an amazing machine. I'm really excited to be able to drive it in the I think in July we're looking at doing something where, especially during the LCS break, I'll be able to capture some content of me driving it. You all will get a good chance to take a look at it during that time. And yeah, it's just an awesome an awesome machine with amazing computer technology in it. It's got distinctive simplicity of form. It's the first dedicated 3-row EV SUV with space for adventure premium accommodations, and it rivals ultra luxury SUVs from Kia. It's got next generation interior material, strategy and style, with a dual display cockpit featuring full digital instrumentation and multiple camera feeds. That's that technology I was talking about earlier. First class second row, true SUV capabilities. Standard 800-volt electrical architecture. This is really important whenever you need to go charge. So all sorts of cool stuff that this wonderful vehicle has. So go check out the EV9. It's amazing. Kia's doing some really cool stuff, and it's just fantastic, as the caller pointed out, to see them sponsoring and supporting not just the LCS, not just multiple teams in the LCS, but also the media who cover the LCS. So yeah, last week's announcement, I saw a whole bunch of people saying that they were going to go think of Kia whenever they were looking at their next vehicle, and I really appreciate Kia for sponsoring, and I appreciate all of you for supporting them. So thank you so much to Kia for sponsoring the show. All right, we've got a couple more callers to go. Off Cubby goes to grab them.
No, I'm ahead of the game here, Travis.
Oh, you already grabbed one. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Rawnblade is here. Rawnblade, where are you calling from?
Calling from Sydney, Australia.
Sydney,
oh yeah,
Australia. We've got an Aussie here. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So, with the success of APA and Yon, given time on a good team, and with Spawn and Treatz here, I thought it would be a good time to chat about what is required for players to reach their potential. I mean, many would argue that Treatz is a player who wasn't given that time and had that potential, and Spawn has obviously spent a lot of time with players getting that out of them. So I'd love to kind of hear their thoughts on it. And I was also reflecting on it watching the Faker documentary, and I was just thinking about how literally any other player other than Faker who had the few years run that he had, after he kind of fell off for a bit, would have been kicked to the curb, never to return to pro play. But because it was Faker, he got to stick around, and he's come back to win. I say 1.5 world champs because I think that DRX series was I think that was any other year that's a T1 win, but the DRX plot armor was too strong that year. So it's pretty incredible what he's been able to do. So yeah, just thinking about how much what it actually takes to get a player from a promising youngster through to building them up, and what is the perfect environment for that.
You want to go first, Bon?
Yeah, I think mainly a coach helps if they're Australian. Balding is a very big positive.
Lovely voice.
Yeah. No, it's a good question, right? Because I think that what happens with players, and I'm just going to talk about like scouting in general, is that what happens is the way academy and challenger and amateur has been set up in the past is normally you have like a couple of star players on the team. And if anyone watched Hey Arnold as a kid, I'm older than people, but there was an episode where they just gave the ball to Tucker a lot in basketball. And the whole game plan was just like pass the ball to the star player. And I think like that can be summarized with how a lot of academy teams run. It's like, you know, your star player is Kenvi. Just put him on Kindred, give him as many camps as he wants. Eventually he's going to carry the game. Oh, your star player is now Tomio. Okay, give him Nidalee, like give him as many camps as he wants. He's going to carry the game. And then I think that what happens is people watch these players and they go, wow, they're like so good at the game. We're going to pick them up on our team. And then they're going to play a year of Sejuani. And when they suck at that, we're going to fire them brutally. And I think that unfortunately, this has kind of been how League of Legends is run. So I think that what you need to do is you actually need to recruit players into the role that your team needs filling. And I actually had a lot of this with Yun last year and this year. Because for anyone that knows an academy, Yun played a lot of majors. He played like Swain, Ziggs, played Seraphine, then a lot of like Ezreal and Jhin. And even when we played things like Sivir, we played a lot of like lethality Sivir. And it wasn't really until Zeri became into the meta, where he picked it up first out of everyone that kind of played it. He was a Twitter guy that played Zeri, that he started to play hyper carries. And then I think when he was promoted into LCS, they didn't really utilize a lot of that supportive champion pool as well, because it was a hyper carry meta. And I think that, you know, what we've tried to do is obviously you try and work on your players' weaknesses, but you try and get them back towards their strengths. And anyone that really watched me with APA would know that. Like he was a bit of a Casio merchant, I'm not going to lie, in Academy.
A lot of TF.
A lot of TF, a lot of playing the map, because that's what he was known for. He was an Aurelion Soul player, he was a Talia player. So like I try and get my guys to like play the game towards their strengths. And I actually have the opposite opinion to a lot of the coaches, which is your veterans should be way more flexible than your rookies. You know, like I don't care if APA had a limited champion pool. I'm just going to first stream every game. If that messes up Impact's champion pool, then like Impact's been playing for 10 years. Surely you can play more than 3 champions, bro. Like they shouldn't be that hard, right? So I think it's about getting them into the team, making them comfortable, and then then you can build them from there. And it takes time, and you have to be willing to like actually lose a couple of games. The second thing is they need to have a voice within the team. As Treatz has kind of alluded to, like League of Legends teams are like not democracies a lot of the time. A lot of the times they're actually run as dictatorships, and they're run by player dictators sometimes. So actually like empowering your rookies to have very strong voices within the team and be able to share how they want to play the game is like really, really crucial. It means the veterans are going to respect them more in the long run. It means that they're going to feel heard and more engaged in the system. And again, like I just think that's really cool. So I think they're like the two things that I would say is like making sure you're recruiting the right players. Like no team needs 5-star players. There's only so much resources you can dedicate to a team within League of Legends. And then, you know, even though it's good to have young players come in and listen to the veterans, they also need to be able to give feedback and play the game how they want to play as well, to feel empowered.
Before Treatz hops in here, I think a great example of this is how G2 handled Yike. And Yike, like, being on the come up. Like, when Yike first started, and Treatz could probably speak to this too, this guy got the craziest setups to do whatever invades he wanted and to get ahead, and that's, like, where Yike was really strong early on. And now, like, as Yike has grown as a player, they've rounded out Yike throughout the time. So I think that really, we always talk about sometimes just empowering your rookies, because they are going to know the game that they play to get there. They aren't going to know the game that you have to be able to play to win best of 5s at the highest level. And the fact that there's an expectation on rookies to step in and know that off the bat can be unfair to them. So I feel like playing to their strengths early on and teaching them as they run through that, like rounding out their knowledge, then getting to where they can be a completed player, is something that a lot of teams like are very poor at. When it comes to the rookies they pick to be promoted and the spots they're in the first place, and then also how they utilize him, as Spawn was talking about.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, for me, it's kind of like, I think first of all, just as like a baseline, people get replaced too much in League. I think there's too many people being swapped in and out to actually like have a fair shot at trying to prove something. I think that's like number one. It's happened to me. It's happened to everyone in esports. I think people just get kicked here and there for whatever reason, and you can never really test rosters fully. So I think that's like number one. I think after that, like the rookies that succeed kind of, I think Spawn, you said it very well, but I also think there's kind of a layer of personality there as well. I think you can't have 5 kind of players with the same personality, whether it's rookies or veterans. I think you have to have a good kind of mix of personalities that complement each other, and kind of complement also the rookies that you're trying to grow. I think the best examples when that's worked is obviously someone like Yike. I mean, also he's playing with caps, which probably helps. The guy's pretty good at the game.
Yeah.
But kind of the successful rookies that I've also played with are the ones that can play the kind of game that they're comfortable with and kind of the game that they want to play, and not really being pigeonholed into kind of a certain direction. So I think it's important that they can kind of learn and int the way that they want to play the game and learn from it, instead of just, I don't know, being, like you said, being put on Sejuani and just playing 10 games of that and then being kicked again. I think it's kind of sad that that can kind of happen and your career can be screwed over by it. But yeah, I mean, it's sports, so not everything is run optimally, so to say.
Yeah, I also want to go off of Spawn's second point with just taking ownership and like talking. Because ultimately when you're talking, you are trying to be a contributor. And I know this past offseason I consulted for a team that we have in Tier 2 here with Supernova on their Tier 3 project. And we for sure, like, there was a decision that we made based on a player's POV, so how he moved his camera, and how much he talked that was a tiebreaker for going between two people. Just simply off the logic that because this person gained more knowledge throughout each game and actively tried to participate in comms, that throughout time they would improve faster. And that's like a big part of the reason why you have to talk and take ownership, because whether you're right or wrong, you're not going to learn if you're a passenger. So also like trying to find people that can actually like try to be a voice, and are the ones that eventually over time will learn to lead and actively contribute is a really big deal as well. So if you are a young player, like trying to talk, for better or worse, it's hard to play the game and talk. I mean, it is a different skill when you're playing in 5. So you have to get over yourself and find situations where you're going to do that earlier on in your career.
Yeah. And that's just a point overall, to be honest. It's not just talking. So much easier to tell someone to stop doing something than it is to tell someone to start doing something.
Yeah.
So like, you are taking too many risks. Can we eliminate some of these risks? Is so much easier than like, you're doing nothing in the game. Can you please start doing something in the game?
That's JoJo right there, you know, like 16-year-old JoJo.
Across the board, like this is why NBA coaches tell their rookies to shoot the ball, because like, okay, we'll eliminate the bad shots, but just take some shots, as opposed to like introducing good shots, you know. So I think that, you know, all of this is just about empowering young people. I think the other thing that, like, I'll just add really, really quickly, and I'm sure Treatz had this in his own career, and one of the advantages I think I have as a coach is that we undervalue what it is like to be a 17 to 21-year-old male, mostly moving out of home, going to live with other people or in apartments, having to do your own washing, having to figure out your own diet, having to figure out your own sleep schedule, all these things. And like, players put so much into the game and burn out so quickly. Having an older coach that has kind of done it for 8 years and like actually be able to lead people through, which is why if I'm a coach, because I've never been a pro player, on my staff always has to be someone that was an ex-pro player. Because like, I need to know whether the things I'm talking about actually make sense to pro players. Yep. So I just really value this part of actually like caring about the whole person, because I think like, even though this is directed towards like, how do you have a skill set to be a League of Legends pro player, there's also just an element of like, let's be good people within that sphere as well.
Yeah, that was gonna be my point too as well. I think that like, I don't really see League and kind of players on the team as like, how good are they at League of Legends, the video game. It's more like, what's their attitude like towards each other and like towards improving. Like, that's all that matters. I don't care if you can hit like every Nidalee spear in solo. It doesn't matter at all to me. It's just, what's your attitude towards your teammate? How do you look at improving? And what are your goals? It's like that simple. And then you take it from there. And rookies that can fill that role, I would rather have on my team than rookies that can smurf on the graves in solo queue. That's very important to me, at least.
One of the things that you mentioned, Treatz, was sort of how quickly players maybe have as like a short window before they are tossed out. And it reminded me a little bit of the big push against APA and Yawn earlier this year, end of last year. And Spawn, I don't know if you want to speak or can speak to sort of how that stuff gets navigated, because it does feel like the audience just has such a short fuse when it comes to waiting for players to reach their potential. I mean, in APA's case, like, he specifically didn't even get a full split. Then, you know, as people are holding him accountable as if he's been playing for years. So, how much does the community stuff factor in on players reaching their potential? And do you think is it a disconnect between the audience in terms of how long it takes, or what are your thoughts there?
I mean, I can grab it for my players, and then I'm sure Treatz can actually probably talk way more to like personal experience of how players take this, right? So what I try and do as a coach is tank as much as the aggro as possible. Like, if APA like has a bad Cassio game, I go out there and I say, even if it's a great Cassio draft, I say that draft was shit. Point all of the blame towards me. Like, that's my bad. I didn't set my player up for success. So that's the first things first. Like, you tank as much of the aggro as possible. And then behind closed doors, you actually address the really serious issue with gameplay in the most mature, like, methodical way you can to improve the player. Because a lot of the time, the community is like close to like they have like a general direction that they're firing in that will be a little bit correct, but they just won't have the specifics down pat. So then your job as a coaching staff and a coach is to pull that apart and actually give like easily digestible feedback. And then I think like what you're hinting at, Travis, is the timeline that you give a player to be successful. And that's going to vary from team to team. If you're a team that's in win now, unfortunately, you're not there to make friends. If a rookie isn't stepping up to the plate where you thought they were going to be, they're going to be replaced. That was what Harry was, right? But at the same time, as if you're in developmental mode and then you tell a player that he's got 18 months and then you kick him after 3, there better be a really good reason behind the scenes in why you're doing
well,
that.
And I don't just mean how much time you give them, but also what it's like whenever you want to give them time, but you just have like the community up in arms and being like,
community's never fired a player. Like, that's if any GM comes out and says, hey, we got rid of this player because the community didn't like them, that GM sucks at their job. So like, I'm like, even though communities get frustrated at players, like, you can turn it around so quickly if you just start playing well. Like, everyone wants to be a fan of you. The people that hate you the most are actually the people that are going to love you the most if you're really, really good. Like, this is just fact, right? Like, the people that were flaming Jan and APA were actually probably the hardcore TL fans that wanted TL to win, right? And they just couldn't figure out why we were losing. And now that we are winning, they are absolutely the biggest proponents of APA and Jan. So like, I don't think like the community ever fires a player and you can turn it around really quickly. But what I think happens is that people buy into this community sentiment way too much. As I said, like, community's in the general direction, but the specifics, they're just way off a lot of the time. And that's not their fault, because when I talk about NBA systems and stuff like that, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just a pundit, like, throwing it out. But Eric Spoelstra has never called me and been like, you know what, we are giving Jimmy Butler the fat stacks next year and bringing him back because Spawn, the coach Team Liquid, said we should do it. Like, it's just never going to happen.
Yeah, it's a very hard topic to navigate because sometimes it is justified and sometimes it isn't. It's like, there's no like proof of what's a good rookie to fire after how much time. Like, it just really depends case to case. I think for me, at least, like you said as well, Spawn, it's kind of like what do you tell the person when they're joining the team? Like, are you looking to win right now? Are you looking to develop this player? Obviously, those things kind of want to align with what you do as well. And the community fairly calls out bullshit when it happens. So I think it's very hard to navigate those situations. But I feel like you said as well, Spawn, like, the community is kind of at least in the fairly correct direction most of the time. Obviously too harsh on some people sometimes and kind of too quickly, but it's also in their right to be that because they're a fan of the team or the league or whatever it might be, right? And they just think that this person sucks. I mean, they can say whatever they want, but it's not up to them if they get fired or not.
The only time I've ever got really upset with orgs about dropping players, to be completely transparent, is when I say to the player, okay, what feedback were you getting behind the scenes to improve on things? And then they say, oh no, everyone at the org loved me. Like, they were telling me that everything I was doing in game was great. They had no feedback for me. They weren't critical at all. Because like, then you're like, okay, how did this happen? Like, something isn't adding up. Someone's not doing their job. Right?
Yeah.
And I've had that happen with academy players that I've tried to bring to TL. So like, what I would say, as long as they're getting feedback behind the scenes, like, you can let a player go whenever you want. You think the journey's at an end, but you just have to be a good person.
Be honest, honestly. Like,
yeah.
I don't know why there's so much like dishonesty in esports in general. Like just be honest and fucking communicate.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why teams seem to struggle with this so much, but I really appreciate both of you sharing your takes, and Cubby, you as well, from you've had the first-hand experience with this stuff a little bit recently as you've been working on that during the off season. So
I didn't remote. I can say remote coaching sucks ass too. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, hey, rawnblade, thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Yeah, quickly shout out Riot for selling their soul for an international tournament we found out is going to have a terrible format and totally destroy summer split schedules for all your major leagues. So that's a great outcome. But genuinely, thank you to Riot for the Faker Hall of Legends doco, which I think is, like, for any league fan, is really powerful and honestly a tearjerker and just an incredible look at Faker's career. So genuine shout out to the whole team that worked on that. And then shout out to that toy kitchen in Spawn's that's behind Spawn. I know that's a high quality product for the kids. That got one similar that gets the job done. And shout out to everyone for a great show. See you later.
Thanks so much for the call. I will catch you next time.
Thank you.
Oh, did it just get hot in Australia all of a sudden? Holy shit!
Yeah, Spawn was feeling a lot of emotional back and forth on that shout out. Fuck the redacted event, but also nice thing that you got behind you, Spawn. That's a great thing for children. All right,
Lock it in.
2 more. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's great. Yep.
All right.
Yep. Off we go. All right. As we've got Cubby grabbing the next caller. Thank you to CJ Foxy for the membership over on YouTube and Bad at League. If you all, by the way, especially now that we're back on season, if you become a member on YouTube for as low as $2.99, you can get access to early interviews. So for right now, there are 3 interviews that are up with players that I did over the weekend. I can't slam them all out on Monday morning because YouTube algorithm will hate it. But if you're a member, you just get to see them all. You get to see them in their raw state. So thank you to everybody who becomes a member over on YouTube. Over on Twitch, folks who are trying to see ad-free stream, thank you to Lit Drummer Boy, Timothy Alex, Iron Maiden, Soybeans, and Zerothus. If you want to check and see if you have a free sub available, you can move your cursor over the Twitch stream. A little purple crown will pop up, and it'll tell you, if you click that crown, if you have a sub available. Twitch likes to hide those Prime subs now because they're trying to save money. Oh, also, Twitch subs are becoming more expensive soon. So if you want to sign up for multiple months at a time, that might save you money if you try to.
For real?
If you want to sub to the stream, because they're going to become more expensive soon. All right, Cloud is here. Cloud, where are you calling from?
Come on, Bezos.
Hey, I'm calling from Maryland.
Maryland. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Well, I don't know if this wasn't announced really, but Immortals had a co-stream running on their Twitch channel with Solo, who's not a part of Immortals, and apparently any team can have a co-stream now. I think LEC had something similar, but yeah, teams can co-stream any game, not just their own games. And I really want to see teams using their streamers that aren't bringing any sort of viewership to the organization. Like, hate on Team Liquid, but I don't think Broxa does a very good job. Or like Midbeast, is he even still on Team Liquid? Who knows? But a lot of orgs have these streamers, and I think it would be a great idea to utilize that and actually bring their audience to watch the games.
Yeah, interesting. I did not know about this. I thought I saw the announcement post of who was going to be co-streaming this summer, and I don't feel like I remember seeing Solo on it or like Immortals. So
How it works, I think, is that every team has like one slot, as far as I know, that they can kind of give out to someone that can co-stream.
Well, yeah, I'm surprised that this was not more promoted. Maybe it was, and I just missed it somewhere. Had
just Solo on
had you
IMT
seen
tweeting.
it?
No, but I did see that some people were like co-streaming that weren't announced, so I just kind of assumed that this was the case. Do you have any more info on this, like behind the scenes, Cloud?
What I was told is that you have to stream on the team's Twitch or on their socials. So Solo wasn't doing it on his channel; he was doing it on IMT, and he didn't need to be part of IMT to even do that.
Oh, I don't like that.
Why not?
because nobody uses none of the teams use their Twitch channels.
Well, they can now, Travis.
Yeah, but they're not going to build like the way that social media works is you build a platform over time. If you just have them turning it on once a week for one co-stream, no one's ever going to discover this. The viewership will be that bad. And like to Cloud's point, a lot of these teams have signed streamers who have larger audiences. If you are Riot and you're trying to get some of these other folks to watch, like Midbeast is a good example. You're trying to get some of that audience to watch the LCS. Having him go stream on a like mostly defunct Team Liquid Twitch channel is not going to do much for Team Liquid, Midbeast, or LCS.
I agree. This is a commissioner issue. Obviously, the commissioner has absolutely no idea
the
how
fucking commissioner just sucks so much
with each other.
Bad decisions.
Gotta get a new commish.
Yeah, I've been saying that since before this one got signed. I thought they should have signed somebody else for commissioner.
Wow.
I won't say who, but he applied 50 times over the last 4 years, and they did not.
I need to make that 51.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely waiting
for a
for
little bit more seriousness. I think, like Travis hit it on the head. Like a lot of these guys, there's an opportunity cost to this to go across to a different channel to be able to do it. Doesn't seem all that appealing.
That's weird. Even in Challengers League, we allow our co-streamers to stream on their own channel, and each team does get a slot to give out. So.
Yeah. I would just say there's like that. I would say that obviously also you just need to be very careful with how you do stuff like that, because you want to set something up that's consistent, that's going to have long-term impact. I mean, the arguments for and against co-stream is actually very long and like very nuanced, I would say.
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk about like TL strategy because I honestly don't know it. Obviously, there's a whole department that works on that, but I'm just going to say like I don't think it's as cut as dry as in like co-stream good. Drew Timms should co-stream. Is he even on TL? Haha. I think it is a little bit like more nuanced.
Yeah, I mean, I can just speak from my perspective because I co-streamed last spring split, the LCS, and I live viewed the LEC, and from like a kind of individual perspective, it's way easier if you can just co-stream somewhere because you don't have to sync audio and stuff, and you can upload to YouTube way faster, and whoever's first to YouTube gets all the views. So if you're, for example, solo and you can actually co-stream, it makes the YouTube kind of game way easier. So there's kind of clear incentive for him to link up with someone, but I agree that it doesn't make sense that you would just do it on IMT's channel because as you guys said, no one follows these kind of team channels, so kind of a weird partnership going in there, kind of one-sided, I would say. Long term, I would think that it would be better if you just have kind of a longer partnership where they could stream on their own channel, but I have no clue what their kind of perspective is on that, but I mean, I would be happy if I was solo at least, so to say.
It also makes a lot of sense. Well, I'm trying to think about it. So in one sense, it is a great fit for this split where people are playing best of threes, because you could have like a Team Liquid streamer. They're streaming, they're doing something. Okay, great guys, Team Liquid games are on. We're going to tune into the Team Liquid games. Oh, sick. They went to full 3 games. We watched the whole thing. It's great. And then that was their involvement because they're a Team Liquid representative and they're rooting for their team, and it's great. On the other hand, it might be kind of bad if that is the first match of the day and you have all these viewers that are attached to the stream, and then that streamer like bails out halfway through the day of LCS because they're just there to watch their own stream or their own team. And then you end up in an awkward situation where that team is now, or that all those viewers are now being drawn away from the LCS. So I could see it kind of going both ways, but I don't think that there's any world where it makes sense for people to be streaming on mostly defunct, like team channels. I just don't. I don't see how that is good. It's actually very similar for a long time. If Calby was on the show, he would be laughing at this reference. But for a long time, sponsors would get into the space and they would want sponsored content to be on their channel. Like the Bud Light one kind of made sense because the Bud Light thing, there was like age restrictions that had to be placed on it. But like there were consistently a lot of brands who would come in and they'd make a Twitch channel and they'd want, okay, we're going to partner with this team and we want XYZ influencers or streamers or players to stream on our channel. And then it would perform like shit because no one's going to go to like the, craft singles Twitch channel to watch them play solo singles queue with, for some activation. Like, it's just never, it'd be sitting there. You'd either have people, 10 people watching, or you'd have 20,000 people watching, 19,995 of which were from Twitch front page or paid promotion sticking the stream somewhere. And so thankfully, I think most brands have gotten smarter than trying to do something like that. But this, to me, feels like a similar strategy where it's like, this is not, these channels are not designed or meant for this. I don't know why they're doing this. And this is the type of thing that I think disincentivizes, we started the show talking about teams participating in things like the FanFest stuff. Well, you end up in this weird situation where whenever teams are presented with this sort of nonsensical option of how to, participate as an organization and brand building for the LCS, and they're like, you want us to stream on this Twitch channel we never use? Like, cool.
Yeah.
That's how they bow
like,
out.
people are very worried about the LCS viewership, and for good reason, right? And what people are trying to do is they're trying to keep it as centralized as possible. And in my opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, this isn't even TL's opinion, right? But this is just Jake Tiberi, Melbourne dad opinion, is if you have a co-streamer that is going to bring new audience into the LCS, that is good. But if you have a co-streamer that is just going to take viewers off the main channel, I don't think it's good. Like, that's just my opinion. And maybe it's because I was a shoutcaster for like 8 years and I would be pissed off in the current climate. But I'm just telling you that, like, when I hear about, like, Brazilian fans coming over, or Latin American streamers doing it, or Cadril bringing the rats over from LEC to NA, like, I think all this is, like, good. But, like, if it's just, like, another co-streamer from North America doing it and just splitting the viewers and fragmenting it even further, and as Travis said, turning off the stream and then that viewership just going away, or they go play a solo queue game and people tune into that, I don't know if I'm for it. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if that's a good thing.
I 100% agree. I mean, it's like a really tough spot for me too. Someone still, like, primary income is commenting. I'm not big enough where I can actually get co-streamer rights to pretty much anything. So, like, I'm just stuck. Like, like, for the co-streams, I mean, I'm doing 90% of the work for people to, like, throw on an extra 10%, and that can be them, like, being really invested, them eating a sandwich, and they get, like, a better product for that, I think that co-streamers, like, the one question that I asked Mark that he didn't answer, which of course he can't, is what's the value of a viewer that's watching, like, the LCS main channel versus a partner channel? And of course he can't answer that, but, like, I think that what the LCS is doing is that they're trying to say, like, hey, we're getting all these eyeballs on this product, and so if you throw your product in here, you're going to reach these people from all these different countries. And you can still find that without having co-streamers that are native to NA. Not to mention that if they're actually tuned into the product, most of the ads or sponsors that run outside of just the banner that flies throughout the game runs in the breaks. And what's going on in the breaks? You got Sneaky and Meteos playing Arena, right? Or TFT games getting, like, queued up, or, like, ARAMs with groups. They aren't invested in the whole product. And not to mention, like, that's without even getting into, like, the co-streamers, I really feel like actually build up the players in the product rather than kind of sit there with their X-Pro hat and tear it down. So I fully agree. But now that Pandora's box is open, there's just no way to go back. So you're almost forced to give everyone access that you can that's a part of the product, and it's tough.
Treatz, do you hear these whiny casters shitting on good co-streamers like yourself just because they're envious of the attention?
You guys work your ass off. That's
to be
a hard
fair,
schedule.
It is a very, like, big grind, and I've casted, I've co-streamed, I've played, and I've coached. I've done the whole Exodia, so to say. And I do, like, see arguments from both sides. I mean, for me, as someone who watches League mainly through co-streamers, I can't be a hypocrite and say that I don't like it. For me, it's kind of like adding something on top of something that's already good. So, like, for example, if I'm watching LEC, I'll watch it through Cadril stream because I like his commentary on top of the casters, right?
Yes.
For me, it's... Sorry, go ahead, Cubby.
Well, I was going to say, like, this is also an issue with Riot's ambition because, like, if this was happening in any other sport, like you had Charles Barkley co-streaming, like, the NBA, you'd be like, why doesn't the org just pay him the bucks to, like, bring him in on the main broadcast, right? And, like, Riot's really changed up their view where they view co-streaming as, hey, we can pay 0 and get, like, this amount of exposure. Whereas, Cagel, because of his success, I mean, obviously, it's very clear that he can charge
But
what he
also,
wants.
can we
now.
stop using Cadril for why co-streams is good? Because he is
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
the top of the top. It's like using
Yeah.
Gawless from his streams as well. It's like,
Well, in
I'm
this case,
sure.
though, you want the top of the top on your main broadcast, so you have to pay the
Yes.
rates to get it. So
Yeah, I think there's a good
But what
argument
I'm
that
trying to say is
Cadril.
I really don't like saying the Immortals or TL co-stream or whatever. I'm not picking on Immortals here, by the way. Immortals, great org. I'm
Yeah.
not picking on them, but I'm just saying, like, can we not use like the Immortals co-stream is great because Cadril's a great co-streamer. Like, I think we're just talking about two different things. Like,
I mean, for me, it's like a broad spectrum, and he worked the hardest in most regions, so he became the most popular. Like, for me, it's that simple. I didn't work as hard as him. I'm maybe not as interesting to listen to, and that's completely fine. My co-stream has less viewers. Like, it's just a competitive market, and he's on top of it. Like, I think that's gonna change in the future. Someone else will take a spot. Like, I did a lot of stuff with both Dom and Yamato, right? And they're both grinding insanely hard in different regions. So it's like, I think I think co-streaming is very like kind of uncapped hours if you want to, and you have the rights to co-stream a lot of things, and I think that's great. But I do see how it takes away from the broadcast. Like, I've worked myself for like basically a full year now. I don't know how many
but I
broadcasts I've
think
been a part of.
everyone loves Dom's co-streams. I'll use Dom as an example, right?
That definitely not. The people definitely don't all love it. I'll tell you
I
that
love
much.
his LPL co-stream.
Or mine. Like, I mean, the amount of shit I got from co-streaming, I've
don't
never
mean
seen
the-
in my playing career.
I think like the idea of his co-stream is what I'm saying, because like what happened was LPL English was like going backwards investment wise, and then he reinvested into it and got a lot of people to actually re-care about the region, and then even put his money where his mouth was, where they were going to pull everything out of LPL English, is my understanding. And Dom's like, I'll just do it. I'll float the whole region, right?
That's
So
mega
now everyone's like,
respect,
that's a different kind of co-stream going on there.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
I
he's
think,
in the position to do that. So, and of course, it's insane that he does it, right? I just mean that, like, I mean, from my perspective, it's just like, it's like Riot kind of opened a new market, and it's very up in the grabs for who wants to kind of take advantage. And like, whoever happened to be a big streamer before obviously has like an advantage, but still, someone could probably upload on YouTube right now when they live view a bunch of games, and they can actually get viewers, and then they can drag that kind of attention to Twitch and do it that way. I mean, for me, it was very hard to kind of keep up with the grind that everyone else was doing, and I mean, I respect the people that actually do it. So it's a very how do you say it? It's a very tricky thing to navigate, because I see how it benefits kind of both sides, and also could long term probably hurt both sides, to be honest.
The thing that I do think, so I've said this before, Cubby said it before, which was the like, hey, there are long term ramifications in terms of what sponsorship could mean, because, and I'm somewhat surprised that brands have not been asking more questions. Maybe they are, and they're just getting answers they like. But hey, okay, you're reporting that you've got this many viewers for this event, but half of them were on these co-streams where our ads were not seen. Like, that's not great. I think the other half of this that I have not spoken about before, that I've been thinking about more recently, is like, look, all these co-streamers are very talented. And I think the broadcast, I mean, we saw this today, that LEC was getting shit on today on Reddit for people saying that they feel like the broadcast has gone downhill. I think the broadcast has a lot of really talented people making really strong and good content for it. I wonder what would happen or how people would feel about these co-streams if they were not ad-free co-streams, essentially. Like, imagine if Cadril, because Spawn said we have to keep picking on Cadril. Imagine if Cadril had to be like, okay, guys, I'll be back. We're going to show all of these things, and we're going to do, and he has to do all these ad reads and has to do all the things that the main broadcast has to do. I think that people would be sad, obviously, because they want to just have Cadril unfiltered in the way that he is on his stream. And so I feel like when we're doing these kind of comparative analysis between what the main broadcast can offer and the co-streams can offer, the co-streams don't have any of the fucking sponsor requirements.
You do have
that,
to
like,
show all the
has.
sponsors throughout the game, at least. Like,
You have
I know
to show
there's
them.
a lot of
but like,
but
you
in
don't
the
have to
breaks,
show.
you can do whatever. Yeah,
you could do whatever during the most valuable parts of the sponsorship stuff, and then and you constantly have like, Raz coming in or Jat being like, and now the Samsung Fast 5. Let's look at whatever the 5 whatever. Like, Treatz doesn't, or Treatz, Cadril, Treatz, all you guys don't have to do any of this stuff, because you can just sort of like all right, guys, let's talk about how crazy that match was, or how you can provide content that I think is superior to like an ad read because it's
Yeah, like
not
I
an
would
ad read.
rewatch the game or something, right, on my co-stream. Like I would just go back in the VOD and check something or whatever, and I don't have the obligation to watch. And I do understand how that hurts the broadcast for sure, and how that affects like future sponsors and rates and whatever. I just think that from a viewing perspective, like the average person watching doesn't care. Like, it's that simple.
No,
They
100%.
gave a
And
coach
the
a cheat
sponsors
code.
have exactly, and I think it's up to the sponsors to be smarter and actually realize how that's affecting their kind of sponsor towards the league or the person. And maybe, like you said, Travis, they could actually kind of go through like the co-streamers themselves then. But then it's also like, is the co-streamers just gonna make like $1 million and the broadcast gonna make 500 to 1K a day? Like,
Yeah,
it's like that's
Well, this
kind
is
of a
the
joke.
tricky thing, and this is where I was going to go with all of it. Is like I think that the ecosystem right now is a completely undefined territory. No one knows how this is going to impact anything, and the co-streamers don't want the main broadcast falling over either, guys. Like, I hate to break it to you, like it bad for everyone if this is what happens. So it needs to be navigated very carefully, which is why I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just also I'm not going to say it's like the best thing that happened.
I just think it's irrelevant. To get Cloud, I'm sorry, I know that we've been talking around you for a while, but like I think my take is I like the spirit of it. I think ultimately it's mostly irrelevant because like, wait, how many viewers did Solo have on that Immortal stream?
Do you really want to know?
Yeah,
Less than 10.
Yeah, less than 10.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't
But
watch
the,
the whole
thi-
thing.
but the
so
thing
maybe
is
it went
that
up,
like
but-
he's not doing it for the Twitch. I would do it on INT's channel as well if I had to, because I would just upload to YouTube faster. I'm not like the Twitch has no relevance to me as
yeah,
the
but is Solo
co-streamer.
uploading that stuff to YouTube?
I think so, yeah.
He was like
No,
live
he's not.
tweeting too. I mean, he's got to be using the content on his own, but
I mean, then it's a miss from his perspective, right? But like,
why
I
can't
don't know.
he use
Does
his
he
own
has the
channel,
rights to,
you
or
know?
is it Immortals that has the rights to do it? You know?
that's
true.
a good question, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if he's not allowed to stream on his Twitch channel, I wouldn't be surprised if he's also not allowed to like stick the stuff on his YouTube channel.
There would have to be something in it for Solo. But I think Treatz is like hit the nail on the head of like why someone like Solo would want to do it to grow their brand, because it could be a really good opportunity.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. But I just don't know whether this is going to bring in the new viewers until it has a little bit more. Is all I'm saying.
Well, I think
fair point.
this sort of went on a different direction that I was expecting. I was expecting more of like, hey, I'm Team Liquid. I already have a streamer, like let's say Broxa. We're gonna make it into a whole event whenever Team Liquid is playing. Like Team Liquid's playing FlyQuest. Hey, come watch our games. And Broxa's only really co-streaming Team Liquid games, and he's getting like the Team Liquid fan base more engaged. And maybe Team Liquid haters come in, start shit talking
I understand
Yappa
what you're
and
saying.
Jan.
So I understood that part of it, and I thought I addressed it when I said I don't understand why Team Liquid wouldn't necessarily want to do that over saying, "Hey, we're playing FlyQuest. Come watch on Twitch.tv/." Because we believe
To
it's
foster a
better.
more like community.
Potentially, but we already have great communities within our Discord, within our Twitter, within like a lot of other areas that we can do it in, and we potentially. And I'm not saying this is a reason, right? Because I don't know the reason. I'm just playing devil's advocate, trying to straw man it. Talk about how we can make the main broadcast.
There's no like good solution, I think, right now. It's like I think we kind of have to let the chips like fall in their place a bit and see.
I just think
Pandora's box
setting
open.
aside all the co-stream stuff to bring it back to you, Cloud, I think if Riot wants to do this with the teams and the teams want to do this, the best way to do it is to just be like, hey, Broxa's our boy for this split. You can tune into Team Liquid watch parties on Broxa's Twitch channel. That's where we're going to do it. I agree with Spawn that there's probably even a conversation beyond that on whether or not that even makes sense. Like, what if Brox is just hanging out on Discord watching the mainstream? Like, I don't know. But, like, I don't think that these defunct Twitch channels are going to be doing much for anybody who's a part of it. Maybe if they can do YouTube stuff afterwards, like Treatz is saying, but then that's beyond the whole point. At that point in time, they should just be able to do this on their own channel because that's where the value is. So,
I remember, for example, just to add one small point on top of it. Like I remember, for example, Yamato did it through G2 because he didn't get, I think it was MSI co-streaming rights, if I'm not mistaken. And it was the same reason, like the Twitch compared to YouTube, like if you're fastest to YouTube, it's way more useful. So he just also did it through he was streaming through G2 Twitch channel, and he still retained a lot of his viewers. So I think it depends on the personality as well.
Yeah. All right, we're trying to bail out. Jack wants us to go to the next caller. We're doing it for him. Cloud, anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Yeah, shout out to Shopify. I'm a Shopify fan. And shout out to your video that you did before the split with the team power rankings. It was really cool to see. So, yeah, shout out to that. And shout out to Ryan in your YouTube chat who's calling me out for being a Team Liquid hater.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks so much for calling, and we'll catch you next time. Yeah, by the way, for those who missed it, I did go and talk to every LCS team and get both a coach, or in Team Liquid's case, I guess Dodo, and a player to power rank all the different teams before the start of the split, and it was pretty fun to see them have those conversations and stuff. So, I'd recommend we go. You all go check it out. We all go check it out. I'll go with you. We can all watch it together. All right. Our last caller of the evening is here. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is GreenCervidae. I am calling from Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So I actually had the take about Genji Arnold's thread or Twitter post. I don't know. Do you want to bring it up, Travis? Do you want me to read it or?
So I'll just give the summary, right? Which is Arnold was saying that there's a pretty big concern among himself and some other folks that he has talked to in the space that there are not enough young people playing League of Legends. This kind of goes back to the nade shot thing from before. He said this, I think, a year ago. And that in this case specifically, though, Arnold is talking about how, hey, this is going to be an issue for us as we try to look to the next generation of talent. And that generation is not necessarily there because it's not being built up. And his focus was mostly on the Korea development system, or as I like to call it, the LCS academy system. So, sorry, what's your take on it?
Yeah. So I actually called in. I think it was maybe like a month ago now. I have it pulled up right here. Episode 318. Zen was on, and I just kind of like mentioned briefly in that episode that I believe a big failing of Tier 2 in, I said North America, but according to Arnold, this is something that actually extends internationally as well. A big failing of Riot's part is in the marketing. And one of the reasons that this game is so unpopular, in my opinion, it was just in America, but again, Arnold said internationally, is that Riot has a really, really bad marketing department, in my opinion. I just want to like ask anyone listening or watching right now, when was the last time you saw an advertisement for League of Legends on any platform that was not directly related to League of Legends? To me, the last genuine effort that League of Legends had in introducing new players was Arcane. And it's good, but I can't credit the marketing department with that. And so I think that the problem that Arnold has identified here, and seemingly a lot of people internationally, is that there aren't new players coming into the game, and the old players are kind of washing out, burning out, and you're not going to have longevity of a game or a sport for that matter if you don't have new people coming in.
So I have a couple of things here. One, so not to call you out specifically, but it's a pet peeve of mine when people say League of Legends is not popular. Like, I just pulled up the Twitch directory. It is number 4 right now in the viewership in terms right now, ahead of Valorant.
Highest in PC bongs in Korea too.
League,
Still,
dominates in Korea. It's massive in China. Like, this game, and obviously that's in the East, and I hear this all the time with like, and it's annoying too because it's said with such confidence, and then everybody just kind of like goes along with it. Where you'll see people talking about LCS viewership, and the top comment will be like, well, it's just because League of Legends is dead in North America. No one plays this game in North America. You know, they all like that Call of Duty. That's what those North Americans like. And I'm like, this game is fucking popular. All right, like, the part of the reason why these like throwback videos or whatever do well, the surprise test with like removed items and all that stuff, is because if you are a PC gamer who likes competitive games, you have probably played League of Legends at some point in time. Now, there's the topic of whether or not like is that waxing or waning in terms of the popularity of the game. Everybody kind of comes out of the woodwork and just confidently says that like the game is dying, And then you ask them how they know, and they're like, well, my friends used to play it, and now they play Valorant. And you're like, cool, thanks for the fucking study. Really appreciate that. So it just drives me up the wall. I am not saying that like the game is thriving in the way it was maybe in 2014 or something. All these people will be like, oh, this is cope or delusional. But like, I definitely disagree with the assessment that like the game is not popular. And I really think when it comes to LCS viewership, which I don't want to go down the rabbit hole on, it's a huge pet peeve of mine because it's such a cop-out where like, oh, LCS viewership bad, must be because nobody watches it or nobody plays the game in North America. It's like, well, maybe it was also because like the product was shit for a while, and we've switched formats a million times, and we've switched to terrible days, and like there's been a ton of negativity. Like, could it be any of this? Nah. The LCS is the best possible product it could possibly be. It's just that nobody plays the game. So first off, I just want to say with that, also in terms of the marketing stuff, I don't think they tend to do traditional marketing. I think Arcane is marketing. They lose a fuck ton of money on that. I think when they do the cinematics at the beginning of the year, I think Worlds opening ceremony and all that stuff is marketing for the game. Like their collabs with New Jeans, I think that is marketing for the game. I'm looking at their music video right here that has 84 million views. Like, I disagree with the idea that like they need to be running television ads for League of Legends.
Yeah, I actually I want to acknowledge like I'm sorry if it came across that I was saying League is not popular.
How
I don't
dare
believe
you?
that at all.
You've offended me.
Like I know literally the China player base dwarfs every other player base combined. Like it's completely irrelevant to ever say that because it's not as popular in North America that it's not popular globally. I know that.
Sure.
But I also like, to me, I did not know that they would take a loss on Arcane. I actually am surprised to hear that, so I'll give you that. However, I think actually somebody here in chat mentioned something that I do agree with. The younger audience doesn't really. This is, I'm gonna quote them, Shuvel in Twitch chat. They feel like the core of the younger people not playing issue is not that Riot doesn't market, they just deal exclusively in long form marketing like cinematics and TV shows. Younger players want shorter form marketing like TikTok and YouTube
TikTok
shows.
brains.
Yeah, it's TikTok brain.
So that's true, but also this game is not catered to TikTok brain either. Like, think of the lifespan of this game within 15 years and how much better people have gotten at this game, and also like how much the game has changed, evolved, and also how much has been added. Like, the information gap from a beginner to like where we're at now in this call, and like, or just your average viewer that actually takes the time to watch Hotline League, it's massive, like what you're dealing with. And if you're going to ask a 15 or 16-year-old that like likes games to go through that and try and play up against that skill gap, like, I mean, I played like high diamond, solo queue, like I had peak GM for like 4 or 5 years. If I wasn't playing at least 5-6 games a day, I felt like I was falling behind, and that's at the top end. And now like there are players in silver and gold that are able to execute basic combos that if you played silver or gold 10 years ago, you would just not, they were not seen. Like, how much people have actually improved in this game. I think that the game definitely benefited from the access to the internet and content creation to scale that up early on, but now you're fighting against people that have put time into that for years and years and trying to pick that up as a new game, versus you can drop Fortnite with your friends in the same living room and have living room gaming experiences, which like were still my favorite growing up, even if I was dedicated to this game. So I think just like the arc of this game and where it's at, you also have a huge knowledge gap that is just so intimidating for like people to go up against. And
I'm not
I have
sure if that's
conversations
it either, though, because
know?
like StarCraft had the biggest knowledge gap ever, and people still did it. I blame families. I'm just gonna put it out there. Like
Ooh.
like
It's a new
people
take.
like I mean, I just wish there was more like Viper, Sniper, Crimson stories out there, and like
Yeah.
this is like, I mean, basketball has a huge knowledge gap and stuff like that as well. Like the barrier to entry of League of Legends is actually the issue. To actually play a League of Legends game is like a huge commitment, because like you have to like level up your account to a certain amount before you get the full game, and the tutorial kind of sucks. And then like a game is 40 minutes, so I understand all of that stuff. But like, I genuinely think the way that you get people into League of Legends is by saying League of Legends is fun, playing with your friends. when I
Yes.
worked at Riot, I don't know if this is still the same. So it was a while ago, but we used to say people that play League of Legends by themselves play the game less than people that play League of Legends with their friends on average, right? We're not talking about high elo, we're just talking about the whole player base. Play people with the game with their friends, and people that watch esports and play the game with their friends play the game the most. Like this is like generally the rule that we followed, right? So like we tried to get them further down this engagement funnel, and then we wanted them to watch Arcane and do all the other cool stuff as well, right? So like what I'm trying to say is like I actually think one of the problems with League of Legends at the moment is the same problem that people had with WoW is people start saying the game sucks, so then they stop trying to play it with their friends and they stop pulling new people into it and their little brother and stuff like that. Like, you know, I'm even guilty of it. Like, if Jenna said the other day, like, you know, would Jasper play League of Legends? I was like, no, because people are going to tell him to get cancer and stuff, and he's only, you know, 6 years old. But then I think about it, like, you know, maybe we as a League of Legends fan base, like, need to have a better responsibility towards this and, like, actually make it a cool environment for new people to come in and actually start bringing our little brothers and our little friends into again. And, you know, I think high school programs and college and stuff do all this as well. But I just think the sentiment around the game is actually the issue.
Can I actually ask a question to specifically Spawn? I mean, Spawn, I guess you just kind of answered it, but to Treatz about something like this?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, a lot of people in the Reddit thread about Arnold's tweet seem to think that a lot of this was caused by the community. And I'm curious on a pro player's perspective on this. Spawn, I hear you. You're saying that the community is a problem, but I want to get a pro player's opinion.
I mean, I would definitely say that they play a part. I think, especially when you're starting out, it can be very hard. Like if you have a goal or a dream, and then, like we said as well, like you get replaced very fast. I think a lot of things in esports just goes very quick. So even if you kind of reach the top, so to say, like challenger or your first team, like things can go very quick, and there's no kind of woof woof. I think it can go very quick and kind of snowball not in your favor, so to say, because there's not a lot of stability in esports either. So I think like Arnold definitely has a point, and I think also to add on to Spawn's point with the kind of new player experience, it's like I've played League and my entire life has been League for like 10 years, but I don't think I would recommend my friend to play League because like you have to level up an account. You can't even play with me in ranked. Like we can't even play together. Like what are we gonna play ARM? Like sure it's fun, but I'm gonna be like on like high ARM MMR and you're gonna be in piss low. So we're gonna have like you're just gonna get stomped every game. So it's like you don't have that Fortnite experience where you just drop in and shoot some people and just go next, you know, type of thing. So I think that League kind of suffers from the barrier of entry for the average Joe is just way too high right now. Like both in terms of skill, but also in terms of like just League of Legends, the client, and the fucking first game that you play.
Yeah.
I think a huge part of this that people don't think about is how cool Fortnite and Valorant are in very different ways. So one, Fortnite is just this like cultural touchstone where if you are a famous singer or you are a movie that is popular or something, you're just gonna do a Fortnite collab. And so there's constant like Brandon Sanderson has I have a Kelsier skin in Fortnite. Because and Fortnite is just like we're just gonna go for anywhere where there's culture. We're gonna bring it all in. You know, there's arguments to be made about whether or not that's cool or not, but like I think that does a ton, and that's an area where League doesn't compete.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fun. I'm glad we had this call because it reminds me of a thing I realized last week, which was last week they announced Valorant was coming to consoles. And they played these two big videos. One was just like a hype reel of Valorant stuff. But the one that I thought was more impressive was this video that was like a couple minutes long that they played during Summer Game Fest. And it was, yes, some gameplay, but also all of the stuff around Valorant. And we all know what I'm talking about when I say that. You know, it's like all these like big cultural collabs that they do and all these things. Obviously, League does this as well. But somewhere along the line, a brand manager at Riot figured out how to make Valorant too fucking cool for me to play. That is what I thought when I saw this video. I'm like, I am not cool enough to play Valorant. Like, it has become so hip and sexy and cool as a brand that, like, I look at this and I'm like, a gamer feel as though this game is like too cool for me, a gamer, to be a part of. I'm too much of a nerd to play Valorant. And it is like very impressive to me that it has become so synonymous with like youth culture. And it's just like nothing else that I have seen in the gaming space before. And again, Fortnite kind of, but also Fortnite's in a completely different way. Like Fortnite embraces all these like comic book things and all this like nerd culture. Valorant is just like so fucking hip, and it's actually insane to me how well they've done that. And I think that actually helps them a lot with like the younger generation. My God, how fucking old I've become.
Can I add a little bit to my point, Travis? Because I can see it being misinterpreted in the chat. Valorant is easier than League of Legends. Everyone understand. Pick up gun, point gun at person, shoot. You don't need a friend to teach you Valorant. You can get there yourself. The reason I'm saying friends are so important in League of Legends and why the community plays a bigger role in League of Legends than it does in a game like Valorant is because League of Legends is infinitely more difficult than League of Legends. I'll give you an example because the only example I can draw a parallel between is Path of Exile and Diablo 4. So I think that Path of Exile is a really, really complicated game, but the Path of Exile community is insane. If you go into any of the global channels in Path of Exile and you're like, my build sucks, people will instantly give you advice on how to fix it. If you're like, I need these specters for my minion build, they'll just invite you, come to my hideout, do it. If you get like any new player experience in Path of Exile, you see like guys in the new town, people like actually talk to them and things like that. It's just a completely different new player experience on PoE than it is in League of Legends. If I have a noob that loads onto my team in League of Legends and I've only got time to play 2 games a night and they get placed into gold and they cost me the game, there's an equal chance that I'm going to add them and be like, yo, I can see you new. Do you want to grab a couple of games together? As me to say, hey, dude, maybe don't queue up in this elo, stop trolling my games, report, get them out of my game. You know what I mean? It's just a completely different kind of mindset within the community. And that's why I'm saying community needs to take more responsibility within League of Legends than they do Counter-Strike or Valorant or anything else like that, because it is just much harder to understand.
I definitely think it's a blend of both. I now see, Spawn, what you were saying about the chat misunderstanding me. I just think when I look at Valorant as a brand, I think like streetwear. I think of the artists that they bring in for.
Didn't LCS try streetwear though? Like all that.
Yeah, but like we're.
But to me, it's as simple as Riot is trying to push Valorant and they're not trying to push League.
Yeah.
like isn't it that simple? Like League is cruising on fucking standby and like slowly going up or down, and then Valorant, like they want a fucking mega boost.
Let me challenge you on that. In what ways are they trying to push Valorant and not League?
I mean, where's the LCS this next week?
Mega hype, skin collapse, perma, like mega animation, songs, events 20 times a fucking year, road shows in Africa, China, like you name it. Like I feel like they just have stuff.
But everything you just said they do in League.
No, they don't. Definitely,
road shows are disappearing.
Road shows like, would you guys know that the Valorant America's tournament their finals are just in the LCS arena. Like the road shows you see in Valorant are the Worlds and MSI road shows. Like whenever we're in London in October in the massive arena and it's sold out, or we're in Chase with Lil Nas X or whatever, like that is what you're seeing in Valorant.
Yeah. I'm also saying this chat is the kind of stuff that does it. We think Valorant's cool in League, so we're probably more likely to like be like, yo, if Treatz afterwards is like, let's grab a game of Valorant, I'll probably say yes. If he said, let's grab a game of League, I'd be like, man, I don't have 40 minutes for this shit.
Here's the solution. This came from an old-time player and scholar in Alorum. You know, Valorant, they have all the edater culture, and like it's actually assumed if you play Valorant, you can get girls. Whereas League, that's not the case. So getting back to our caller's first point, the marketing department, I think if we invest in, maybe
the e-kittens and the whatever,
maybe we should just get like Sydney Sweeney to just like, talk about League of Legends. I feel like League could be saved.
I will say, while we're way off on the ranch, so was it last year? I think it was last fall, before the Valorant. Yeah, it was like at the end of summer last year when Valorant was in North America or was in Los Angeles. I went to their big sort of media day, and one of the personalities there is a artist named Baby No Money, or BB No Money. I think it's Baby No Money. It's BB No and then the dollar sign. Very nice.
You
dude.
sound so old when you say that. Sorry.
I understand.
You know what,
but
Travis? I was thinking that you weren't too lame for Valorant. Now I'm starting to think maybe you
Yeah,
are.
That's
I
what
think
I'm-
honestly, League is just right for
Guys,
you.
that's what I'm talking about, though. Look in Twitch chat. They know what we're talking about. It's oh, they're saying it's BB No Money. So it's BB No Money. All right, but again, I have to say the name of this artist, and you guys immediately, as I'm saying it, are like, "Yeah, you're
Gen Z
fucking up."
Eminem.
Anyway, this person now seemingly is dating Pokimane. So that's my story of how Valorant is more impressive than this. That's alleged, but they posted a TikTok together, and I sometimes like to go into the offline TV rumors subreddits because they talk about Broden, and it is like fascinating to see Broden, who used to be my camera dude, like the topic of like dating rumors and stuff. And so Reddit served me this like, oh, I think they're dating, and then they posted a TikTok together, which showed up on my TikTok feed. So
I don't have TikTok, Travis. This shit's too young for me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's
same.
all of
Yeah,
this
me
is
either.
my point. All right. When we're talking
have
about
one.
why
I don't.
League doesn't have this audience, it's because
I'm
we
telling you,
don't
it's
have-
because General Sniper's parents only had 3 kids that I know of right now. If they had 500, I'd have a talent pipeline. And it's also my fault because Jasper hasn't started playing League of Legends yet. I don't know where he is, but I will get him on it ASAP.
So we're 5 people in the call, right? How many of us do play League? I play League.
I've played 2 games of solo queue. I'm Diamond 4.
Dude,
I
I'm not
play
gonna lie.
ARAM.
You genuinely
You play?
cannot pay me money to
I've
play
been
League
play-
of Legends right now.
Oh, really? I've been playing a ton of solo queue recently. It's actually been fun. It's the first
Oh,
time I've
good
played
for
in a
you.
while.
Yeah, respect.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. But I will say that it's the first time I've played in a while. So, but yeah, a bunch of friends have been getting back into it, and it's been nice to play with them.
I've actually noticed that too. There's a lot of like returning players recently.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
League is already, for a lot of people, League is the default game. I was talking to
Yeah.
some people where it's like, oh, what should I play? I don't have anything I'm into right now, so okay, let's open up Summoner's Rift.
Mhm.
All right, caller, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to say?
No. I got some shout outs though.
Yeah, do the shout outs. Go for it.
Yeah.
Gun it.
So my first shout out, I want to shout out Fear X Starforge, sorry. Cincinnati Fear. I was actually pretty high on them last year in NACL, but then they brought in the best roster, best mid laner in the entire NACL, Blaze Olive. Been a big fan of him for a couple years, and yeah, you played with him 2019 TSM Academy. That was when I actually got into him. Really happy to see them, and they popped off against DSG. It was really cool. I'll shout myself out. I am an artist. You can find my website at jdillahay-productions.squarespace.com. I'll link it in the chat. And last shout out is to my girlfriend, who is currently passed out asleep while I am on the show because it's 12:30 here. But that's it.
Well, I'm sorry to say that as exciting as Sphere X Starforge is, Dragonsteel's coming for them. They beat FlyQuest challengers this past week.
Yes, we got
And-
Travis
That was
in the tier
actually
2.
super hype.
Thank you, Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out here before we say goodbye? Or you actually already shouted out. Sorry. We got distracted by the Challenger stuff. But yes, thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just got so hype about tier 2, you know. All right.
That was the upset of the week. I'm just throwing it out there.
First off, no one who's watching these streams leave, because I have a sponsored thing after this. I need all of your help. So please all stick around. If you leave, I can't pay rent. All right, Cubby, what do you want to shout out here at the end of the show?
Nothing. Honestly, just shout out to Treatz and Spawn. I hope that settling into NA goes well. Treatz, if you ever want to hit the links, I don't know if you brought your sticks out, but we got a golf group with some gamers. I know you've played with one of them. Yeah. So I gotta play. I'm going back home in a few weeks to play with my old man. I used to caddy for him and his guests, for the member guests, and I get to be the guest this year, so I'm very excited for that. But yeah, no, shout out to everyone that tuned in, and thanks to these guys for hanging around a little bit extra, and best of luck this season. Both your teams had really good showings week 1, so excited to see where you guys can go, and if you guys can go further. And shout out to Travis for working his ass off to have 2 sponsors back to back on 2 episodes here. So good work, Travis.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Spawn, how about you? What do you want to shout out?
Shout out to Team Liquid for still employing me. Shout out for my team for setting unreasonably high expectations of us, and shout out to my family for listening to me talk into a room that they normally play in for the last 2.5 hours.
Very good. Treatz?
I mean, definitely shout out to Dignitas for hiring me, and to the players that I've got the chance to work with. It's been really fun so far. Shout out to you guys for, I think, a very interesting episode. It was fun chatting with y'all. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, shout out to both of you. I know we went way over time. I really
thanks,
appreciate it.
guys.
I think we just having some really great conversations here at the end of the show. So I appreciate that none of you were messaging me on the side being like, oh, I need to go pee for the 3rd time this episode. Other than that, I will be at Command Fest Tacoma this weekend. I am playing hooky on the LCS, but I'll be back in time for week 3, which is actually still week 2. But yeah, I will be at Command Fest Tacoma. So if you're in Tacoma, you want to hang out and play Magic, please come through. I'd love to see you there, and we can play some Magic. It'll be a good time. It's a great event, and they have stuff that's not just Commander, by the way. I think sometimes the Command Fest stuff people get confused, and I think it's only Commander, but there's a bunch of cool stuff going on. So I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yes, Tacoma, Washington, which is south of Seattle. So
it's pretty up there from what I've heard.
It is very pretty. I was just up there recently, so I'll be back. But other than that, shout out to Kia and NZXT. Shout out to NZXT. We did the full episode on the computer, fresh off of me switching to it, within the hour before. So you can see that everything's good. Sometimes it's not usually advised to switch your entire PC setup right before a major stream, but we were able to make it work. So yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next week.